They all bought Cadillacs and left there long ago. We held a concert out in Brooklyn to watch the island bridges blow. They turned our power down, drove us underground, but we went right on with the show. I seen the lights go out on Broadway, saw the ruins at my feet. You know we almost did not notice it. We've seen it all the time on 42nd Street. They burned the churches up in Harlem, like in that Spanish Civil War. The flames were everywhere, but no one really cared. It always burned up there before. I seen the rats lie down on Broadway. The boats were waiting at the battery. The union went on strike. They never sailed at all. They sent the carrier out from Norfolk, picked the Yankees up for free. They said the Queens could stay. They blew the Bronx away. They sank Manhattan out at sea. Oh, you know those lights were bright on Broadway, but that was so many years ago, before we all lived here in Florida, before Columbia hooked up with Tokyo. There are not many who remember.
Before the mafia took over Mexico, excuse me.
A handful still survive to tell the world about the way the lights went out and keep the memory.
You got red flags when I'm colorblind. I ignore the signs, yeah, you know the vibe. And I still get all the butterflies from your diamond eyes when you tell me lies. You're doing cartwheels in my head, releasing my dopamine. You're breaking bad and now I see. What a time just to be alive. Last night you told me things that you can't deny. Just friends hiding underneath your sheets. And your lips are reminiscent. All my bad decisions. You got red flags when I'm colorblind. I ignore the signs, yeah, you know the vibe. And I still get all the butterflies from your diamond eyes when you tell me lies. You got red flags, but I'm in denial. You got red flags, but I'm still wild. You got red flags, but I'm in denial. It's a red car foul every time you smile. Cigarette drags followed by the bottle. Yeah, I don't fuck with models, cause all y'all bitches wild. It's 2 a.m. in the morning and you don't respond to text. Where you at? It's just a test. I'm about to hit my ex for the flex. But do I wanna deal with the mess? You know I don't, but I'm a bit obsessed. The got red flags, but I'm colorblind. I ignore the signs, yeah, you know the vibe. And I still get all the butterflies from your diamond eyes when you tell me lies. You got red flags, but I'm in denial. You got red flags, but I'm still wild.
Good morning. Hello. How are you doing? My name's Grant Smith Ellis. Nice to see you there. What a morning. You know, I was on a towel vacation. I was spending some time with Towel Nana. It was great. Welcome to Towel News. It's about 5:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Oh, Caroline, a golden goat to start the day. I am enthralled. I'm humbled. I'm extreme. Oh, look at the golden goat. It's above my head. Look at it. Look at it. What a golden goat. That was great. God bless you, Caroline. That was so cool. You know, a golden goat above one's head to start the day. You really can't do much better than that. Hello. Good morning, Missouri. How are you all? You know, it is early. It's about 5:30 a.m. here as the sun rises on a finally a bit cooler Boston, Massachusetts. So that would make it about 11:30 a.m. in South Africa. It's Sunday, July 5th, 2026. The holiday weekend on America's 250th birthday. God bless the United States of America. It's about 12:30 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel. It's about 1 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Now, we have a lot of things we're going to be covering today. Hello, Craig, and hello, Caroline, Eli Unchecked, and hello, Gene. But, you know, I was on vacation. Towel Nana was great. But I didn't really have time, you know, because I was doing things, to really look at the new FOIA that came out in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed case on Friday. Hello, Miss Bucket. How are you all doing? God bless the people of England. I think you all have a major World Cup game today, if I do recall correctly. The round of 32. Will Harry Kane pull off another last-minute miracle? He is really tall. We shall see. Is it coming home? I don't really know. I'd like to see, you know, the U.S. advance tomorrow against Belgium. Belgium's got an aging front line, but they got Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield. You don't want to mess with KDB. I don't really know what the U.S.'s plan is to deal with the KDB Romelu Lukaku connection. Belgium's just really good, and they play a style of football that's much faster than the U.S., and the U.S. team's really small. So I don't know what the hell your plan is, bro, but they're screwed. So anyway, good luck to England today. I don't know who they're playing. I think it's a slightly difficult opponent. It's not as tough as Belgium. Belgium's aging. Their golden generation was about 8 years ago, but still, like, Kevin De Bruyne past his peak is better than anything the U.S. has ever produced, so I don't know what to tell you. I'm a City fan, so KDB used to just light up the Premier League. It was so fun. He was a boss. Anyway, that's the World Cup, so enjoy watching that later. That's also why I was starting a little bit early, because I figured I'd do my analysis, talk about the FOIA, and then we can go on with our day. Alright, so, what happened? Well, a lot of things happened. Now, every 2 weeks, there's rolling productions of FOIAs in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed case. Now, I got to give you a little grounding to explain what we're going to talk about, because I got to take you all the way back to a snowy evening, early morning, of January 28th into 29th of 2022. Now, on January 28th, John O'Keefe, a Boston police officer, was going to meet his then-girlfriend, Karen Reed, at a bar in downtown Canton. It's a small town about 20 miles south of Boston. 45-something kilometers, 60 kilometers, hell if I know. I don't speak metric. And it's this small town that's kind of like reading the book Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. It looks like, I mean, I've been there. I kind of like hung around a little bit. But anyway, it looks like it's a small New England hamlet. It's out of H.P. Lovecraft, but it's not at all. There's something that lies beneath. But we'll get to that in a minute. So John O'Keefe's a Boston police officer working on the highly secretive sex offender registration unit. If you look this unit up, they pop up doing undercover stings all around the state of Massachusetts. And they'll go after cops too. I don't want to get into the details. I don't need to get into the details because the bad guys should know how the good guys get them. But this unit is good at what they do. All right? Now, good morning, 13 Kings. Enjoy. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy your towel wrench. Now, John O'Keefe is a Boston police officer who works in the city, but he lives down in Canton. All right? Now, John O'Keefe's got a niece and nephew that he adopted because they were double orphans. Now, to understand the inner machinations of this case is to go into a web of social connections that goes back almost a decade before the fateful night that John O'Keefe passed away and lost his life. A crime that is still unsolved. So, the town of Canton is small, okay? And people who are there have been there forever. All right. Now, back in 2014, there were these cops at Canton, and this is very important. They all had a friend group, okay? Some state police who grew up in Canton, some cops who worked in Canton, some cops who were from Canton but worked in other towns, some firemen who worked at Canton. Right? They all talked in a group chat. Now, one of the guys in this group chat, okay, he hosted a fundraiser in 2014 with a Canton cop named Kevin Albert, okay, for John O'Keefe's double orphan niece and nephew. Their mother, who was John O'Keefe's sister, tragically passed away from cancer in November of 2013. Then, on January 12th, 2014, their father passed away, leaving them double orphaned. Now, within 2 weeks, there was a fundraiser at a gym in Canton, hosted by a former Canton cop who got arrested 6 months earlier in a sex-for-hire sting in Brockton. Okay? And that fundraiser was hosted with Canton cop Kevin Albert. Now, I want you to keep this in mind, because the man who hosted that fundraiser, Kevin Foley, is in group chat messages with the state police officer who becomes the primary investigator of John's death, and that man's name is Michael Proctor. All right? So keep that all in mind as I lay this foundation. So on the day of January 28th, John O'Keefe is going to go with his friend Michael Camerano to a bar. He's going to go hang out with his friend, and he's going to meet his girlfriend, Karen Reed. The bar is C.F. McCarthy's. It's in the middle of downtown Canton. So John and Karen go to this bar. They're going to meet up with some people. Right? They meet up there. John actually gets there first. Then John and Karen meet up, and then Michael Camerano leaves, okay? And then John and Karen are hanging at the bar with their friends. And they go to another bar, okay, to meet up with more people. That bar is called the Waterfall. To get from C.F. McCarthy's to the Waterfall, this is a very small, town center. It's maybe, I don't know, quarter of a mile from one end to the other. So you walk out C.F. McCarthy's, you go across this small 2-lane road. It's very small. It's like the middle of a small New England town. You take a left on the sidewalk. You walk over a small little 3-foot river and a bridge. And then to your right is this bar. Okay, and then above it is an apartment complex, and that's the Waterfall. All right. So this group, they walk from C.F. McCarthy's over to the Waterfall. Now it's getting close to 11 p.m., 12 a.m. So the night is about to change. The day is about to change from the 28th of January, 2022 to the 29th of January, 2022. Now, in that early morning, John and Karen are invited back to a home in Canton that belongs to a fellow Boston police officer, Brian Albert. And they're invited, I'll explain more about the timeline in a second, with this group that includes Jen McCabe, who's this woman that lives in Canton, and then Matt McCabe, her husband, who's a DOD contractor that has a company that helps, among other things, the 805th Shadow Squadron at Nellis reduce kill chain latency. Okay? And then there's also Brian Higgins, important name, who's an undercover ATF agent at the time, who's going to go over to the house with them. And then there's another man who's in the group. His name's Chris Albert. Keep that name in mind. Okay, and then over at the house, okay, there are teenagers having a party. Brian Albert Jr., okay, the homeowner's son, and then like 3 or 4 of his friends or something, all right? And then Colin Albert is at Fairview before, ostensibly, the group. All right, so now why this group of adults was going back to a house to hang out with a bunch of children, I don't really know. We'll get more into the details later. You want to know the testimony reason? Because they were going to go eat cake together at midnight in a blizzard. Alright, there we go. So let's pick up on the story. That's nobody's fault. It was just frame drops. It's not the internet, it's the actual server accepting the frames. Alright, so let's pick up on the story. For some reason, this group of adults is going over to 34 Fairview Road to have cake with these teenagers. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, you're thinking, Grant, John O'Keefe was keeping an eye on some people who were doing some bad things. Yeah, maybe. Alright, we're going to get there. We're going to come to find out that, let's just say there was some inappropriate contact, not the people in the home, but people in the orbit of these people, between adults and children, involving drinking, etc., etc. It's very bad. So, I'm going to keep going on with the story, but just keep in mind the social context here, okay? You got a group of adults at a bar, multiple cops, a DOD contractor worth millions, his wife, okay, all going over to a Boston cop's home where they're going to have cake. This was the legitimate testimony at trial with teenagers, okay? This is the narrative, so to speak. Now, keep one important piece of testimony in mind. Initially, Karen Reed and John O'Keefe were going to go separately to Fairview Road, okay? They get invited over by Jen McCabe. Matt McCabe was initially going to take John, and Karen was going to go with Jen McCabe. For various reasons, John and Karen were kind of arguing that day because John didn't like that Karen took his niece to Donkeys. Because, yeah, I don't know. It was like a spoil. Like, he didn't like that. It was like a... Getting that kind of thing is kind of spoiling the child. So John was like, just please don't get her takeout that often. And it kind of started like a text message argument about 12 hours earlier. And so, from what I understand, I can't confirm this because it's a little unclear. Karen and John end up taking the car ride over to Fairview together. I think it's a follow-up. Good morning, Nanya. How are you? Good morning, Clumsy Clairvoyance. It's so good to see you. Karen and John take the car ride over together, okay? And whether it's because they wanted to finish talking about what they were talking about earlier, whether it's because Karen didn't really want to go, it's not really clear. But that's a variable, okay? Everything that happened, says Robin Hood, from the day Karen's water heater went out, which resulted in John intimating knowledge of seeing other people, to the night of the waterfall incident, is super surreal. Yeah, Robin Hood, and then you got to go back to Aruba and all that. But the social dynamics of Karen and John, interestingly enough, I think are secondary to what happened here. I think Karen was the variable. The unexpected variable in a larger thing that was going on. That's the best I can discern. Because remember, John O'Keefe, one more piece of information here. About a year before this, in 2021, there's documented evidence that John O'Keefe saw a drug deal outside his home multiple times, filmed it, and then sent it. Karen filmed it, John was next to him, and then John sent it to Canton cops. Kevin Albert, and somebody we think is a Canton cop with the nickname Chip. And it's tough to discern because Michael Proctor's name was also Chip, but we think this, generally, the analysis is that the guy John O'Keefe sent the video to was Kevin Albert, the Canton cop, and a guy named Chip, who's also a Canton cop. And then, in that message, Kevin Albert says, and then he also calls into the station, there's an audio of this. Kevin Albert says, listen, John O'Keefe went up to this kid and John flashed his BPD badge and gun and was like, stop drug dealing in front of my home. And the kid was like, okay, yes, sir, yes, sir. And then he did it again the next day, the kid. All right? So keep that in mind. This is what Kevin Albert's relaying. Hold on, drop frames. We're back. This is what Kevin Albert is relaying to the Canton police in 2021 about John O'Keefe confronting the drug dealer outside of his home. Yes? All right. All right, we're back. Now, flash forward, okay, to 2022. Okay, that fateful morning. There's another man who's over at Fairview Road named Brian Higgins. Now, Brian Higgins being an undercover ATF agent is interesting enough. And yes, you need all of these names and context to understand the video we're going to watch, as shocking as that is. Part of why this case is so difficult to understand. This guy, Brian Higgins, all right, a few things that are normal, a few things that are abnormal. It is normal for federal, state, and local officials to work on what are called interagency task forces. Okay? Speaking generally, an example might be the JTTF, which works out of the bricks. Okay? Okay? The brick, whatever it's called. Everyone understand? The JTTF works out of the brick. The JTTF is one example of an integrated, vertically and horizontally integrated joint task force. There are, speaking broadly, other reasons that the federal government and the state government and the local government might have joint task forces. Part of what that entails, speaking broadly, is, let's say hypothetically, and you must understand, I don't know nothing about nothing. Not a lawyer, this is not legal advice. I did go to law school, but I don't know nothing about nothing. Hypothetically, say there were like a motorcycle club in Taunton, okay? And as the ATF or DEA or whoever alphabet agency you want to talk about, you want to send a guy in to investigate that motorcycle club. Do you think what they do is just be like, all right, dude, good luck. Like, have fun. Put a wire on him, give him a gun and a badge, and send him off into the field? No. They assign him a local cop, a state cop, 2 FBI agents, and a U.S. attorney. Okay, that's called, whatever they call it, the team that works with that undercover. That undercover, first of all, they need to be embedded in whatever they're doing. Okay, and they need to have a lot of cover. Okay? Second of all, they need to work with an interagency task force to execute the various investigations. There can be concurrent jurisdiction that involves investigation, like FBI agents can testify in state cases, state police and local cops can testify in federal cases. It's complicated, but the point is the same. There can be concurrent jurisdiction for an investigation that's an interagency task force. Why is that relevant? Well, this man, Brian Higgins, worked undercover and had an office at the Canton police station. Now, why would the ATF have a friggin' like base of operations down like from Cape Cod, like up 128, up 95 at the split and 128? Well, you know, speaking generally, let's just say that highway is a major drug trafficking corridor. That's not very general, that's very specific, in fact. Now, when you have a major drug trafficking corridor, you know, say from New York to Montreal, you're probably going to have places on like Route 138 where people, you know, meet. And you're probably going to have places off like the 128 where and 95 where people meet. Now, a lot of those people are going to have Florida license plates. Why? Well, speaking generally, there's a bit of a problem down in Florida. It's getting better, but it's still out of control. With, speaking generally, various narcotics, mostly legally prescribed, although at this point, God knows, that kind of flow up, 95. A lot of people think the 5 is the west to east is the biggest drug trafficking corridor in the world. It's not. It's Route 95. It's the worst kept secret. So let's just talk about it. So that's why that Florida license plate that John O'Keefe and Karen filmed is really scary. You must understand. So anyway, it's a major drug trafficking corridor. And what you want to do, ideally, if you're not corrupt, is you want to sit along the corridor and you want to tag and bag. So you want to grab the runners, and then you want to flip the runners, and then you want to find the operation source. Now the problem is, the best drug dealers are cops, especially federal agents, because that's how it works. So anyway, speaking generally, not about any specific case, what you don't want is a cop at the center of anything who is doing bad things. Why do I say that? Because after Karen's trial, which we'll talk about, we're going in recursive loops, like commodious vicuses of recirculation, a la James Joyce here, so give me a second. In messages, text messages, that did not come out until years after Karen Reed's trial, Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe are talking about Higgins going to bars and getting overcharged for drinks. Now, I've been around a while. I don't drink, but I've been around. I have never in my life heard about anybody complaining in Massachusetts about bars overcharging for drinks. As a result, you may also be interested to know that John O'Keefe and Brian Higgins talked about sex workers. Yeah, in December of 2021. Now, John O'Keefe was also the type of person who was filming drug deals and trying to report them. You think John O'Keefe was patroning brothels? No, I don't believe it. I think John O'Keefe was trying to figure out what was going on in Canton. Alright, this is all very important though. Okay, these names. Now, do you know who Brian Higgins was very close with at Canton PD because of the work he was doing? The chief. His name was Ken Berkowitz. He's now deceased. Although his funeral and the attendees thereof in 2022 or 2023 proves to be a very interesting component of this. Another name you should remember is Ben Berkowitz, who is Ken Berkowitz's son. Ben Berkowitz is a police officer on the Canton PD. All right, all of this, all these names, you should have your pen and pencil out, or paper, or whatever it is. You need to know all of these names because they are all relevant to this 7-minute video that we're gonna watch. All right, now let's take us back to 12 a.m. roughly 12 a.m., maybe a little later, on the morning of January 29, 2022. It's cold, it's snowing, it's not quite a blizzard, but it's snowing, and a blizzard is coming in. It's a classic Massachusetts nor'easter. Alright? So it's cold, it's snowing, and Karen and John are going to take the drive. It's about 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, from Canton Center over to 34 Fairview Road. Alright, now Karen has not been there before. John ostensibly knows Canton, but they're using a GPS to get there. Karen drives John over. Alright, they get to 34 Fairview Road. A few things happen that are a little odd. First, when Karen gets there, there's another man that gets there, Ryan Nagel, in a different car, and Ricky D'Antonio, and then whoever the hell was Ricky D'Antonio's girlfriend at the time, okay? They pull up in another car, ostensibly to pick up Ryan Nagel's sister, Julie Nagel, okay, who's one of the kids in the house where these adults are going to have birthday cake. Hell if I know. So anyway, as Ryan Nagel's pulling off Cedar Crest Road, which is right next to Fairview, on to Fairview, he sees Karen and John. Okay, so we know Karen and John pull up together. Okay, Karen and John end up pulling horizontal to the lawn. Okay, so Karen's the house is to their right. Karen's on the road, parked right next to the lawn. This other car doesn't pick up Julie Nagel. Whatever the hell they do, it's not really clear what they do. The testimony is they just go, which could have been a phone, this could have been a phone call. They show up and she's like, no, I don't want to go home. And mind you, this is 12:30, okay? And he leaves, okay? Ryan Nagel, Ricky D'Antonio, and the girlfriend, Ricky D'Antonio's then girlfriend, all leave. They drive away. That's the last time anybody sees Karen and John. The last time. Together. Okay? That car pulls away, and it's about 12:27 a.m. at this point. Okay? Roughly. We don't know. It's tough to tell. We know Karen and John pull up around 12:24, and they sit there for 7 minutes in the car. 12:24 to 12:31. Alright? By 12:31, according to the testimony, Ryan Nagel, Ricky D'Antonio, and the girl in the back of the car are gone. Julie Nagel, who had just been outside but didn't see anything, according to her testimony, is back inside, okay? And there's other people in the house, Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, his wife Nicole Albert, Brian Albert Jr., and then it's unclear how many of Brian Albert Jr.'s friends were still there. At least Julie Nagel was still there, all right? Maybe some other girl named Sarah, and then maybe one other girl. Sarah Levinson. Alright, so, I'm doing this all from memory. So, this is where everything comes together, okay? At about 12:31 a.m. to 12:32 a.m. and 16 seconds, John O'Keefe gets out of Karen's car, and Karen leaves. That's all that the data shows, okay? That is all the data shows. There's specifics to how Karen leaves. She turns around and leaves. But the last thing that the data shows is John O'Keefe getting out of Karen's car. He looks at his phone. He locks his phone. Karen leaves. Blank void. Okay? I'll explain a few of the movements, but basically blank void. From 12:32, literally, until about 4:30 in the morning. All right. Now there are a few things that happen that we know happened between those times that are all important, but it's unclear. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Karen drives from Fairview Road at about 12:31 to 12:32 to John O'Keefe's house. How do we know? Because she connects to John's Wi-Fi, goes inside by 12:37, 12:38. Okay. Now, it's pretty clear Karen and John were having an argument. Karen didn't want to go inside. I don't really know how much John told Karen about what he was doing, what he was looking into. I don't know. I'll never be able to know. God rest his soul. I think John didn't... My read of it is that John didn't tell Karen. There's something called being read in. And I think for Karen's safety, he didn't read her in on whatever the hell he was doing. And so normally you would tell your spouse, but he might have thought she couldn't keep up the cover. So he might have just been like, listen, you need to just go along with this. And she might have been like, no. And he might have been like, all right, well, I got to do it. And she might have been like, why? Because you're some kind of pervert. And he might have been like, you don't understand, Karen. And she might have been like, fine, and just left. I could see it, but I don't know. I'm speculating. But the point is, for whatever reason, Karen leaves, and there's a voicemail when Karen gets back to John's house, about 5 minutes later. So clearly Karen didn't, stop in the road. There's no time for her to have, stop. Nothing could have happened, because she gets to John's in the exact amount of time it would take for one to drive from 34 Fairview to John's house at 1 Meadows Ave. How do I know? I've done the drive. Okay, it's like 5 minutes, give or take 30 seconds either way. As a result, here's my opinion. Okay, when Karen calls John around 12:37, she leaves a voicemail. She's very mad, and she calls him a pervert. I think that was not because he was actually being a pervert. I think it was because Karen didn't know what John was actually doing. Anyway, setting that aside, skip ahead 4 hours. No, actually, let's bring it back. There's a flurry of calls involving people in the house, okay? And we can trace the timeline based on the various phone extractions, although I'm not sure we have a complete picture, because some of these witnesses got to, like, turn their phone over themselves, like, go through their own logs. Some of them got extractions done. It's there's a lot of stuff that's unclear. So, like, there's a flurry of calls between, like, 12:32 and, like, 2:22 or, like, 2:30 in the morning between all the people in the house and one of the guys who leaves the house. And we'll talk a little bit about this, although it's very blurry, even based on the testimonial record, what exactly transpired at that house between 12:31 and like 2:30 in the morning. Here's the best I can discern. At like first of all, there's a bunch of calls from Jen McCabe to John O'Keefe between like 12:30 and like 12:45. Then there's calls between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins a little bit later in the morning between like 1 and 2. And then there is Brian Higgins on camera going to the Canton police station about 1:30 or so in his vehicle, which ostensibly he says he's doing because he's going to move his personal vehicle that's stored at the Canton Police Department so that the parking lot can be plowed. The point of his of this is not his explanation. It's that's where he is. He's on camera at 1:30, so we know he's left Fairview like around then. At that same time, according to testimony, although there's no camera footage of this, Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe leave Fairview with Julie Nagel, maybe one other girl, and take Julie Nagel home. By 2:30, okay, Jen McCabe is ostensibly looking up Hockomock Sports, although it was argued by the defense that she did Google how long to die in cold at 2:27. That is fiercely disputed, and it will be at issue in various civil cases, and I'm sure we'll find out more. Now, it is interesting that even the prosecution expert, Ian Whiffen, when talking about this 227 search, said he could not replicate it. Like, the technical finding, according to Dr. Jessica Hyde, although you got to kind of look into Jessica Hyde's federal contracts, that firm is very intense. Hexordia, I think it is. According to her findings, what this was, the 227 search, was a suspended state where when the browser looked up Hockomock Sports, it paused itself, okay, and then we're going to get there, it's not till like 6:23 in the morning, Jen McCabe opened her browser again, and the WallDB file, which preserved the suspended state, it's kind of like a cache, or a cache, I don't know what is the pronunciation. It's described like a window where data, like at a restaurant, like when the cook makes something, puts it on the window, the server comes to get it, that like middle period while it's sitting on the window, that's what a cache is, okay? And the argument or the technical finding that the prosecution tried to use to explain this 227 search was that the WallDB file had a suspended state that got overwritten by the search at 6:23, and therefore the WallDB indicated a timestamp of 2:27 a.m. for the how long to die in cold search, when in reality it was just overriding an unrelated WallDB entry with the 6:23 search. Now you might be saying to yourself, that doesn't sound like a replicatable error. Like, you want to replicate an error, it's called a bug. There are anomalies. I want to be clear. One-off things can happen all the time. Have you ever played a video game where, like, you get into a pixel or, like, a section of the wall you're not supposed to be in? I can assure you, you can make a cell shader pop up that no one else has ever seen before. Okay? Just because of the procedural generation and what you're doing to glitch it. It's very possible. 1 in a million. Excuse me, very possible. It is possible. You cannot rule it out. That there was an error that occurred in the way that WallDB file wrote that no one has ever seen before and that no one will ever see again. Now, that was Ian Whiffin's conclusion. The prosecution expert. He could not replicate the conditions that would create a suspended state overwrite in the way that Jessica Hyde theorized the 227 timestamp was created. That's like a very, it's a SQL database write-ahead log, exactly. Nailed it, Robin Hood. And so, very technical, but yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. And that's really the insight. If you can't replicate an error, it's in this, like, very small box of technical errors that are statistical anomalies. That's the best case. The worst case is that's not the right explanation. Occam's razor is not that there was a 1 in a million error. I think that was also one of the only deleted searches, if I recall. I don't recall, though. I'll have to check the extraction. We'll get there. But by the way, some of the way these witnesses' phones were treated, shocking. Brian Higgins was allowed to go to a federal office in the lobby and extract his own phone and choose what he gave over. Other witnesses were allowed to do the same, while some witnesses were forced to turn over their entire phone, unredacted. If they weren't, in the in crowd, I guess. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Sweeney. Yes, breakfast with Tal. You got me early. We're making progress, and I've almost brought us to the most intense part of this case. So you got the names, you got the dates, you got the figures. It is like a good James Joyce novel when you're learning about this case. It really is a commodious vicus of recirculation. It's recursive loops, okay? The names stay the same, okay? But there's all these webs, okay? Overlapping concentric social circles that just come up over and over and over again at every point in the timeline. All right. So it's about 2:30 a.m. right now on 1/29/2022, January 29th. It's a blizzard, okay? It's snowing very hard. Karen Reed is asleep. She doesn't know where John is. The last time she saw him, he was walking towards 34 Fairview Road on the lawn. Karen doesn't know where he is. She wakes up, okay? She's in a panic because John did not come home. And this does not happen. John O'Keefe has a niece and nephew. The nephew, I think, was staying at a friend's house. The niece was home, okay? And John does not come home. He's never done this. Karen has never known him to do this. She's extremely panicked. Karen calls, I believe, she tries to call Michael Camerano? She tries to call a number of people. And then someone's number. I don't remember exactly who. I think it's Jed McCabe or Kerry Roberts, both of whom were some of the last people. I think Kerry Roberts was actually also there at the house, or at least had been at the bar, or was one of John O'Keefe's close friends. But she calls Jed McCabe and Kerry Roberts through John's niece, because Karen wasn't really friends with these people. They were somewhat John's friends, but John's niece, I think, was coached in basketball at one point by Jen McCabe or something. So Karen reasonably tries to find the last people that John was with, which is a very sort of normal reaction. If you think about it in context, you try to find the last person who was with the person that you're trying to find. And it's snowing, right? So Karen's rightfully panicked because you don't want someone who's out in a snowstorm and you don't know where they are. At least if they're in a home sleeping somewhere, you can kind of calm down, get them later. But you don't want them not accessible when there's a snowstorm. It's important. Somebody can obviously get hurt or get very injured or die. So Karen, through John's niece, calls Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts. Together, they, around 5:08 a.m., start the process of meeting up. Karen goes outside, gets into her car, it's about 5:08 in the morning, and goes to Jen McCabe's house. Okay? She gets there. Now, it's a little unclear from Matt McCabe's testimony and Jen McCabe's testimony what exactly happened at Jen McCabe's house. And like when Matt McCabe woke up, John Cormeo has the timeline. I did an interview with him where we really drive down into what happens at like 5:35 in the morning. Because the triggering event, you come to find out later, for Matt McCabe going over to Fairview, he says is a call he got at like 5:35 in the morning from his wife. But according to the testimony, like Matt McCabe was up when Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts went downstairs at Jen McCabe's house to go with Karen. They got in two separate cars to go find John. Okay, so this is about like 5:30, 5:35 in the morning. So that's weird, and it's worth looking at more, but let's keep going. So next, Karen, Jen McCabe, and Carrie Roberts go to John O'Keefe's house because Karen is in her car and Carrie and Jen are in Carrie's car. Now, I don't remember who's driving what car. I think Karen was driving her car. Maybe Carrie was with Jen. But the point is, what's weird now in hindsight, is that Jen or Carrie suggest to Karen that Karen drop off her car at John's house. And so that's what they do. Karen goes back to Meadows Ave and drops off her car. Karen goes inside because Carrie and Jen want to look for John. Karen's like, I know he's not here. So Karen just kind of stands there. And then Carrie and Jen go back outside in Carrie's car. Carrie driving, Jen in the passenger seat, Karen in the back. And they go from one Meadows Ave to 34 Fairview. And they get there like sometime after 6 in the morning. Okay? About 6:05. It's unclear. When they get there, okay, John O'Keefe is on the lawn of the home, buried in snow and dead from hypothermia and a head injury. Karen is very overwhelmed and immediately tries to save John. She tries to do CPR. I don't really think she was trained as a first responder, but she tries to save him. And he was already gone. Somebody eventually calls the police. And now it's coming up on 6:23, 6:24 in the morning. Okay? How do we know all this is happening? Well, we got 911 calls, and then also Karen trying to frantically find John had called John from the car on the way over to Fairview and left the voicemail running. So there's a voicemail from John's phone that captures a lot of this chaos as the three women arrive to the scene. So Jen McCabe, in fact, there's overlap of the 911 calls and the voicemails. So Jen McCabe, at this point, is Googling how long to die in cold, according to her. Okay? And, like, on the phone, somebody's calling 911, and the first responders are on their way. The ambulance gets there pretty quickly. About 3 minutes after the 911 call. And the first responders, which include Sean Good, Michael Lank, and we're going to find out more about Sean Good, and we're going to find out the state police respond later in the day as well. But this is just the initial response. In Massachusetts, the local police respond to unattended deaths. They didn't know this was a death at this point. They were just trying to save John. But local police and fire come first, okay? They rush to the scene. They get John into the ambulance, and they take John to Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, Good Sam. Karen is still at the scene, okay, with Carrie Roberts, Jen McCabe, and now there's police officers and firemen there. Karen goes into Carrie Roberts' car at one point and calls her dad. And Karen is very distraught, like overwhelmed, as you can imagine. This was her boyfriend, who's now dead. And she's talking in such a way where her dad, who's in Dighton, which is like 20 more miles south of Canton, and he can't get there in a snowstorm, her dad's worried. So her dad calls the Dighton police and says, listen, just take my daughter to the hospital. Like, I can't get to her. They wouldn't drive him. He actually asked if he could get an emergency, transportation to the scene, which they would do it if, like, your heat ran out. They would take an elderly person to a warming center in, like, a fire truck or something. They're not going to do it. This is an emergency, this situation, but they're not going to do it. They would do it if it were your life at stake. They're not going to bring you to a crime scene. It's just not part of the protocol. So his request gets denied, and I think in light of that, he says, okay, well, she can't be alone. She's not well. I want you to take her to the hospital. Like, and under the rules, if he says that, that's enough. They really have, like, the protocol is they should have a clinician at the scene evaluate her. I'm sure they had an EMT, but a clinician's a little different. I don't think they had that choice, so they sectioned her against her will. She went voluntarily, but she was going either way. So they take her to the hospital, Karen, to the hospital, at the same time as John is going over to Good Sam. They both arrive within a half an hour of each other. John is tragically pronounced dead, as Karen is in Good Sam being evaluated. Karen's family arrives to Good Sam while she's being evaluated. She obviously, it's a couple hours are passing. She's in the presence of her family, and eventually she's discharged. So they don't hold her. She's not deemed to be a threat to herself or others. They let her go. Okay, standard evaluation in light of a traumatic circumstance. Now, there's more to this, though, which all leads up to this video. It is this complicated. Karen and her family are in her brother. She's with her dad, her brother, Nathan, and her brother's wife, Caitlin. Okay? They go from Good Sam to John's house because Karen had moved in, basically, to John's house. She lived in Mansfield. Okay? Her parents live in Dighton. Okay? And John lives in Canton. So Karen's stuff is in Canton. Her medication, all this stuff is in Canton. She's got to go there, and her car is there. So they go to Canton. John's family is in John's house. It's his mom, his dad, his niece and nephew. Karen was very close to the niece. She was a girl, not as close to the nephew. And John's brother, Paul O'Keefe. Okay, I don't know if Paul's wife, Erin, was there at the time. Karen also was close with Erin at a certain point. Alright. Karen gets there, and her dad, come into the home. It's very tense, as you can imagine. They go upstairs. Karen gets her belongings. She leaves the home. Her brother, who I think, worked at a car dealership, gets into her car, and they have to drive in a blizzard at this point, okay? This is important to remember. They all drive together, and this is about 2 in the afternoon, maybe 2 p.m., 2:20. They drive from Canton south all the way to Dighton, because that's where Karen needs to be. She doesn't need to go home to Mansfield alone. She needs to be with her parents. So they go to Dighton. They get there, we know that they get there about 2:20 or so, because there's home security footage of Karen and her parents arriving, okay, with back to Dighton. And then about 2 hours goes by during a blizzard. And this timeline seems exceptionally truncated in hindsight. About 2 hours goes by. And then the state police show up at Karen's home. I don't even know if the CERT team had responded to Fairview Road so the state police, as I mentioned earlier, do not respond initially to unattended deaths. It's the local police. In this case, the local police called over to the CERT team in the afternoon, okay? And somebody, it's unclear how, I think it was the morning actually, called the state police about 8 a.m. Michael Proctor was not on the schedule that day. I don't know whether he was like assigned in. I've never found any paperwork like where he got assigned that day. But he gets the call and he activates the CERT team. Okay? This is like the team that comes to process crime scenes. I don't think they had gotten to Fairview by 2 p.m. or even 4 p.m. I think they get there a little bit later, around 5:45. All right? Maybe circa that time. Proctor sends, I don't know if it's himself that goes to get it, sends state troopers and a tow truck based on a warrant that they got very quickly, to get, and I think Proctor himself actually went. Tully might have gone too. Brian Tully was the detective lieutenant, in charge of the state police detectives unit for the Norfolk County DA, Michael Morrissey, that prosecuted Karen Reed. You got to know these names too. There was a guy named Yuri Buchanan. He was the sergeant of that unit. So Proctor's just like a line trooper. And then, although he's a detective, they're all detectives. Proctor's a line trooper. And Buchanan's the sergeant, third in command. John Fanning's the first officer, executive officer, second in command. And Brian Tully's the detective lieutenant. He's first in command. All right. They get to Karen's home about 4 p.m. How do we know this? Because there is security camera footage of the state police and the tow truck driver. All of this is very important because we're leading up to the video. Arriving at Karen's parents' home in Dighton to pick up the car, Karen's car, and take it via search warrant to the Canton Police Department. Now, at the same time, the state troopers go into Karen's parents' home and try to interrogate her and try to take her devices and all this stuff. It's wild. This is before they've even processed a crime scene. Now that you think about it, when you look at this with eyes wide open, and when you really slow down and just think about what they were doing, these state cops and the local cops, they were rushed. They were flying to get that car. That was the most important thing in the world to them that day. We're talking like at between 6, 8, 7, 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. They needed that car. In a weird way. In a way that can't be explained just by concerns about spoliation. Please. How'd you even... Did Krupp sign this probable cause warrant, Judge Krupp? How'd you even get enough probable cause to get this damn warrant? None. I don't think they tried to access Karen's parents' home security. I think that came out in discovery. They might have got it later. Or it might have just been like part of a defense exhibit in trial. Defense can do reciprocal discovery. Alright, but now we're finally getting up to this video. And I have a lot to say about this video. Now that you know all the players. I'm sure a lot of you knew a lot of these names. But let me just say, this becomes... What you're about to see is very concerning. For a lot of reasons. I'm going to take you through it. You should be very concerned. If you followed this case, and if you have been listening to me recite from memory everything that just went down in that period of time and all the names and etc., what you're about to see is really bad. I'm about 99.98% of the way to documented, demonstrable proof that there was evidence tampering related to post-production video editing of this next series of events. And I'm going to take you through it, and then I'm going to get mad. Now, here's what's going on in this video. first of all, let me just take a break here for 1 second. Let me just catch my breath, because you have all the foundation necessary to understand this video, and I'm ready. I want to say hello to Tower Girlfriend. Hello, hello. Live for just a bit. Tower Girlfriend is so wonderful. I just wanted to say hello. So let me set you up for this video. Karen's car gets on a tow truck, okay, from her parents' home in Dayton. Right? It gets put on a tow truck. Michael Proctor and his state police unit bring it to the Canton Police Department, and that's where this video is going to pick up. Now, there's something that we're going to do together, okay, which is we're going to analyze this very closely. The anchor point, okay, the point that we know the two videos are the same, at least temporally, is when the beginning, because, and we're going to learn about anchor points, Karen's car pulls into the Sally Port at the same time on each video when you start the video from the beginning. This is the available footage through FOIAs of discovery in Karen's cases. This is the Canton Police Sally Port. The video on the left is the correct orientation of the Sally Port video. It was recorded horizontally inverted. All I did was correct it. Okay, it's the same otherwise. And then the video on the right is the exterior driveway shot of the Canton Police Sally Port off from the outside angle by a wall. 1 second. Frame drop. No, we don't have a frame drop. 1 second. What's going on? Oh, no, we're fine. All this stuff, okay? All this stuff over here. Oh, let me actually put my mouse so you can see it. All this stuff on the right of the right video is going to be cut off, okay? All this stuff over here. All this stuff is what's depicted on the right of this video. Karen's car is going to pull in here, and it's going to pull in here. So you see what I'm saying? We have this angle. We have this angle. It's depicting this. It should be depicting the same thing. How do I know this? Because Karen's car is the anchor point. So we're going to take you through, I'm going to take you through this. I'm going to zoom in so you can get a much clearer view, and you're going to be blown away. I started this live early because I could not believe what my own eyes were seeing as I was going through this. I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. And that's me. It's hard to shock me. It really is. Okay? So I'm going to take you through this. All right? We're going to look at it. That's the best I can zoom it in for now. And we're going to watch it. And I'm going to take you through what I saw. So watch. First of all, we need to watch until Karen's car arrives. Okay? Because I want you to notice it arrives at the same time in each video. And then we're going to look at the abnormalities. We're going to run it back. Robin Hood, please follow up with me about that. I'd love to learn more. I think Colleen Crawford with the Norfolk DA did the video processing. I think the software is like a common commercial security software that records via an EXE program. Trial Channel and Kyle Sharkey are the people you want to talk to about that. Trial Channel in particular. She's a boss. Now remember, we're waiting for Karen's car to arrive. Okay, watch. Watch it pull in at the same time. Watch. 1x speed. Alright, now, did you see how Karen's car pulled in at the same time in each video? Please explain to me why there are guys standing here in this clip and no one in the Sally Port in this clip. How can it cover the same period of time when there's no guys over here in the internal cam shot? And there's clearly 1, 2, 3 figures here. This is minutes before Karen's car pulls in. So what is going on? What Emily C. talked about alternate parallel universes. Emily C., you were right. Before our very eyes, they created alternative parallel universes. Don't believe your eyes. Hello, Aussie, Cheryl, and Amanda. God bless you for your 4th of July wishes. But yes, watch this. It gets more wild. I'm going to break it down frame by frame. So my point is, those figures should be right here. That makes no sense. So watch the video play out, okay? I'm going to take you through it. Now there's a guy slipping and sliding over here, but that's certainly not reflected in this clip. Okay? Now, you want to know what else is a little weird? A bunch of time just jumped by, didn't it? Did we just lose seconds there? 1 second. Five 35, oh, not 10, 11, 12, 12, okay. Oh! We lost 10 seconds there. We didn't lose any time on this one. How is it possible that these files are exactly in sync when we just lost 10 seconds on... All right, something's really wrong here. Something's not right. That's it. That's it. That's it. Something is very wrong. We lost 10 seconds here. These guys are still standing here. I don't think this is real footage. I think someone has edited something here. I don't know what yet. But these should be the exact same pieces of footage. They run for the exact same amount of time, and Karen's car is the anchor. It arrives at the exact same time in both pieces of footage. Which means something is not right. So even though we just lost that 10 seconds, these guys are still standing here. They are not visible in the internal cam, which doesn't have a timestamp, but which is synced based on the time of Karen's car pulling in. Okay, then all of a sudden, look at that jump cut on the left. Now we got some guys over here, but they're certainly not standing around. They're walking in to greet each other. Now that's what we have depicted over here. So this stuff cut out these guys arriving. Now there's two guys over here and one guy here. Now we're at the same time. Now we missed their introduction and hello, but they're clearly there. Now it jumps again, the one on the left. The one on the right is still playing sequentially. It's 5:35 and 44 seconds. We lose it. Wait a minute! Wait a minute! 5:35:41, 42, 43, 44, 44. 5:35:44 on the right. It jumps all the way to 5:36:03. And we're still in sync. Oh, this is going to be real. Karen's going to need a really good forensic video expert. Like, Alan's got to call in his best people. This is, you got to look at this frame by frame. This is it. This is the smoking gun. I'm telling you, and Michael Proctor's going to show up in this. Wait till you see what happens. Oh, this is wild. Oh, this is proof. It's absolutely proof. These two videos should be sequential to this point, and they're not. This does not show the same thing. There's sections of both of these missing. And somehow they're perfectly in sync. Here's Karen's car. Watch it pull in. Watch. Watch it pull in. Where's that guy scampering around? This guy's frame should kind of be visible. This guy's off camera over here. This guy, we should have seen him scamper. Now Karen's car is going to pull in. Watch. Oh, I guess they wait a little bit longer. Hold on. Wait a minute. All right, here it comes. We should have seen this guy pop out over here. Okay, now these guys are off camera. They're kind of like behind this wall. That's Karen's car pulling in. Okay, it's literally the same footage. These guys are now off camera to the right. That's Karen's car. Now that camera angle is looking this way. Okay, this camera looking like that. And this camera is looking in from the back. Okay, everybody centered. Okay, now, that's weird. I'm just telling you, we don't have a timestamp for this yet. We have to timestamp it. I think there's a reason there's no timestamp on the one on the left. This is heavily edited. Somebody is hiding something. When I just had the video on the left, I knew someone was hiding something. Now that I have them both, I can tell you as a fact that someone is hiding something. What that something is, I don't know. I need to do a segment, literally section by section analysis to see what's hidden here. And what I really need is a timestamp on the video on the left. That's crazy. That's crazy. This is the smoking gun. I can't believe it. And the implications of this, you must understand. The people, we don't know who everyone is in these videos. We have some idea from card swipe logs, although someone could use someone else's card. We know who's in the vicinity. Okay? Chief Berkowitz. Okay? Potentially Brian Higgins, who had been at the CPD station all afternoon. He's on the card swipe logs. 2 Canton police officers, one of whom is the son of the former chair of the select board. The other, I'll get his name in a second. He's on the card swipe logs. Yuri Buchanan's there. Okay. Michael Proctor testified about that. Michael Proctor's there. He's going to be the one standing near Karen's taillight. The tow truck driver, who drops the car off, is going to take a picture of the front license plate, open the car door, take a picture of the odometer. He's got to do all this stuff to document it for his tow. Then he's going to leave. Okay? Then there's a mystery man who's going to appear on the left video, and then you're going to watch the right video, which has no mystery man. How do I know this? Because in the left video, you're going to see the mystery man walk away from the taillight. It's going to play out here in a few seconds. Then you're going to see Michael Proctor a few seconds later walk away from the taillight. On the right video, you're only going to see one figure walk away from the taillight. And then everything goes to hell. This is not... Something about this is very wrong. This is the moment that they did whatever they did. And why is this so operative? Because guess what happened at 5:45 p.m.? Just 10 minutes later, just down the road at 34 Fairview Road. Well, the very first pieces of Karen Reed's broken taillight were found at 34 Fairview Road. If they set her up, this was the moment it happened. They planned it. Hello, RHM. Hello, M. Welcome to the channel. This was, if it happened, listen to me. We've had so many questions about how they could have done this. I'm showing you. If they framed Karen Reed, this is the moment it happened. It was planned before this. They had to get that card. It explains all the flurry of phone calls. They had to effectuate the plan, but it came together in these moments, and whoever was told to manipulate these videos is in on it. And I think, hello, good morning. So, yeah, I think, in my opinion, we got it. I don't know. I don't have enough to prove it. Karen, and first of all, Alan Jackson, if he really drills in on this, that's why they tried to throw him off with so much BS, and they tried to flood the zone. If they drill down on this forensically, I mean forensically, not... I'm sorry, Abby, I don't mean to be mean, but you can't do it. You need to hire, Karen needs to, there's a great, I'm not going to mention them on stream, but there are some great forensic analyst firms. Now, I learned about them in the coverage of the war because I like to use audio spectrum geolocation to analyze the trajectory of missiles. You know, I'm a tell. But, tomato, if you can analyze a video, you can analyze... If you can analyze audio, you can analyze video. If you can analyze video, you can analyze audio. It's all just zeros and ones at the end of the day. Well, sometimes it's hex code. I don't want to talk about base 8. It's very convoluted. Anyway, math, how does it work? Anyway, damn computers. But anyway, good morning, Lisa. It's so good to see you. Good morning, Lori. Lori says, but seriously, was Karen's car brought in there before the video even shown? The empty space in the sally port with the snowboarder fits the car exactly. I don't know. I cannot tell you. We have to ask the tow truck driver. There's an audio of the tow truck driver. He did an interview with someone. Actually, you know what? Let's play that now. Before we jump into further analysis, before the tow truck driver even comes on screen, let's listen to what the tow truck driver had to say. He did a voluntary interview with someone. Let me find it here. Somebody reposted. I think 3 Clerk Monty reposted it yesterday. Shout out 3 Clerk Monty. But yeah, let me just bring it up for you because I think it's relevant. But it's the actual tow truck driver. I have not confirmed it, but it is reported to be. And I have no reason to believe that the man who has intimate details about the tow would not be the tow truck driver. But you must leave the possibility that this man is not the tow truck driver. So anyway, shout out to 3 Clerk Monty who posted this. Let me find the exact post. Give me 1 second. Where is it? I was shocked the tow truck driver didn't get called by the defense. I would have done it. Maybe they didn't realize the implications. I picked up on it pretty quickly, but it's not necessarily the most obvious thing in the world. I'm just going to go to 3 Clerk Monty's profile if I have to, because I know they posted it. It was very interesting. I commented on it yesterday, or at least I saw it yesterday. Where is it? Yesterday was a travel day, so you'll forgive how. Where is 3 Clerk Monty's profile? I guess I could just look it up. 3 Clerk Monty's on it. They're a boss. Got it. Sorry about the delay, my friends. You're all towels. Here it is. This is a very important call, though. And the tow truck driver, I did not do this interview, but the tow truck driver did consent.
When you brought that thing to the Canton police, the state trooper told you to bring it there, right?
Yeah.
And there was Canton, Dayton police there, and they still brought it to the Canton barracks, right?
Well, there was Dayton police at the address in Dayton, and then the state police.
Her mother's house, right?
Her mother's house, yeah. The state police. I followed the state police all the way to the Canton Police Department, and then we unloaded it at the Canton Police Department. But Dayton didn't go to Canton. Dayton just stayed in Dayton.
They escorted you there, huh?
Yep.
That's crazy. Do you think there's anything of a cover-up in that?
Well, I'll be... anything's possible, but, I mean, you know, because a couple of, I think she hired like an investigator or something, because they came down and they talked to me right after I told it, like a couple weeks after.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, they asked me what happened. I explained it to them, but, I mean, you know, I didn't see any damage on that. I didn't know what was going on. They just told me to tow it, and they were there. I didn't know anything about the case or anything. And then, you know, I found out later about it. I saw it on the news.
Well, state policeman says, hey, tow this car, the Diamond Towing, tow this car. You know, you want their business, but you're going to take it. The state policeman, what are they going to do, arrest you after they tell you? You take it. You're getting paid, right?
Yeah, I towed it right to the police station, though. I didn't tow it to my shop or nothing.
No.
Went from that house right to Canton, and they were with me the whole time.
Nice. Wow. But no damage on the car.
I think there's more to that story than what they're saying, because I don't see how they're saying what, she backed into him or something?
Yeah.
No, the tow truck driver was saying for him it was just a call. He was called by the state police. They said, pick up this car, tow it to the Canton police, and they escorted him. He didn't know till later the context of the tow. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, you know. But and even if she did, would the window, the back brake mirror break? Probably not.
I didn't see no.
Not mirror, the back tail light.
Yeah, I didn't see no damage on it.
No, you guys inspect them like rent-a-car
Oh, dude, I don't know who interviewed him, but let him talk, man. Let him talk.
companies. You
If
guys.
there was any damage on that car, they would have took pictures of that car in the driveway before anything.
Amen. Yeah. Hey,
Right?
this is great.
If you
Yeah.
go to any kind of scene and there's a car there that's got damage, they should be able to produce pictures of that car in her mother's driveway
with the snow on the ground, because it was snowing like hell that day.
Yeah.
They should have pictures of that.
I'm glad.
And if they don't,
Glad you're on my show.
I personally didn't see no damage on that back car.
No, but Manny calls you, hey, grab a car from the auction. You look around, see what it's got on it. That way when Manny yells at you and says, hey, you got a dent, what do you tell him?
Hey, I had already had the dent. If it had a lot of dent...
Hey, you would have a picture of that dent, wouldn't you?
Right.
If you saw a dent on a car you were towing, you would not take a picture?
What's that?
If you would call to tow a car, you would, if you saw a dent or any damage, you would take a picture, right?
Take a picture of it. Right, I would take a picture of it.
Okay.
And the state police would have took a picture of that car long before they called me to go there if it had damage on it.
Someone tell me right now why this is not the smoking gun. Why? Someone tell me right now why the tow truck driver's testimony plus this footage is not the smoking gun that they broke that taillight in the Canton PD Sallyport and brought it over and sprinkled it on the lawn. Tell me right now. And what, more importantly, why didn't Karen argue this? I mean, I'm good. I understand. But Alan Jackson's better. Come on. Let's be blunt. I'm alright, but he's better. So, unless Alan Jackson was so overwhelmed and the zone was so flooded and he missed this, no, I don't think Judge Cannoni blocked this because I've read all the sidebars. Literally, we called it the legal Mount Everest. I read all, I don't want to talk about it. It traumatized me. It was thousands of pages of transcripts. Oh, we're going to read Matt McCabe's letter in a second, by the way. But listen to me. Listen to me. I have a theory. You want to hear my theory? Karen and the state came to an agreement without telling John's family that she was going to plea. And instead of doing a plea, which never would have been okay, they did a trial that was rigged. It wasn't the feds that rigged the trial. Morrissey rigged the trial and put jurors on the case that he knew would find her only guilty of the agreed upon charge. Voila. What? But you might say, but why would Karen ever do that? Well, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Fine, I won't ask too many questions. We can avoid an episode, I suppose. Now that's how you do it. Brutal. That explains why David Traub and Precipio, whatever his name was, both spokesmen for the state police and the Norfolk DA went to Reagan Communications at the same time. Then Reagan Communications reps Paula Prado and the guy who went on TMZ, the juror, and the foreman. Bro, nope. It was a fix. And the deal was, Karen, you get this deal, but don't say anything. That's why Karen's probably like, listen, I won't say anything, but, I can't do anything about Grant. Grant likes to look at things, so good luck with that, guys. Grant called the government on you, so, have fun. I'm glad he's on my side. I wouldn't want Grant calling the government about me. He might make the government all mad. Yeah, I made the government all mad. You don't understand? I'm a Southern man, So anyway, let's get back to my analysis here. Notwithstanding that I think Karen knew about this, let's just be in the world where Karen didn't know about this. Yeah, they need, if this is going to go, now it's kind of flipped. How ironic. Historical serendipity of the highest order. Now, all the people that allegedly framed Karen have a choice to make. Do they want to fight it and make it an incident? Or do they want it to go away? I know what Michael Morrissey chose. Still ruined his career and his legacy. Not that he really had much of a legacy to begin with. Sorry, bro, you enabled John Fanning. Don't come crying to me, all right? You know what they did, and you want me to feel sympathy for you. No, you know what? How about you put your damn foot down, all right? Cowards. You know what you enabled, Mr. Morrissey. Frankly, I'm a little disappointed. I'm more than disappointed. I think they gave you a taste and you liked it. I'm disgusted. What the hell is wrong with just, enough? Alright? How much do you need out of life? Seriously. My God, are you like, I don't even understand. I heard a long time ago, apropos of nothing, that it wasn't Michael Morrissey. It was the guys around him. But that was only half the story, 3/4 of the story. It was the guys around him. But it was the guys around him being enabled by his complicity. Now, I understand. Karen's life was on the line. She was facing an intense situation. The deck was stacked against her. I think it was a brilliant tactical maneuver to do what was done. Okay? But I hope she double-crossed him. Alright? It's a famous double-cross. Alright? A shoot, swerve, double-cross. You gotta work him into a shoot and then double-cross him. How about that? Jim Cornette would love it. So what you do is you get them to agree to this ridiculous plan. Then you turn on him anyway and expose it and burn it all down. It's genius. Double jeopardy attaches, as we know. I've read Bluford. No, Cynthia. Cindy. Sorry about that. There were multiple of Brian Albert Jr.'s friends there. I don't know all of their ages, but yeah, multiple of his friends were there. They were eating birthday cake. Good morning, Sue from Rhode Island. How are you doing? All right, but let me continue with all this. So, I think it's very, very, very interesting, because I don't think it was just Tiffany Overstreet or Sandra Birchmore or Karen Reed or Aidan Carney. I think it was an apparatus that once you got let into, you had to pay a certain price. Okay? Frankly, I want to speak generally, not about any specific person. I think you're freaks. I think you're demented. I think you're subhuman. And I think you should be jailed. Frankly, I want to banish you to an island, but I'm worried that you're going to find a way to smuggle children to the fucking island, so I just want you jailed. You're freaks. You're subhuman. You disgust me, and I know what you did. I know way more than I've said publicly, too. I told the government. Rep Luna retweeted me. How about them apples? I named names. I know what you did. I know what the lot of you did. You disgust me. Speaking generally, about no one in particular, you disgust me. No excuses. No excuses. I don't want to hear that bullshit about how when you were younger, they did it to you. Bullshit! Fuck you. Sorry for cussing. Be better than that. Break the cycle. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know what you did. There's not enough Xanax and alcohol in the world to make you forget either. You demon-worshipping bastards. God forgive me. I'm a little riled up. I'm all mad. So, yeah, I'm mad, and I know what they did. It's really hard to hold back. There's reasons that I cannot say certain things. Just personal. I don't know nothing about nothing. What's going on? Who are you all? My point is, there's reasons I want to be very direct, and I am very mad about certain things that some of these troopers did, and they know what they did. And the firemen, damn firemen, and the cops, I know what they did. Making me all mad. Damn firemen. And I know who enabled it, by the way. Florida. Damn Florida. Making me all mad. Hey, you want to read an interesting article? Apropos of nothing. Who am I talking to? Bobby James, that's a great question. I'm talking to people who worship Baal. So if you don't worship Baal, I'm not talking to you. I know some of you were worried, like, is he talking to me? No. But don't buy prostitutes, please. Tell your family. Please don't buy prostitutes. If you appreciate the work I do, I don't want anything. I just want you to not buy prostitutes. It enables human trafficking. If we can just, like, bleed dry the supply, then we won't have any problems. Stop buying prostitutes. Just stop it. Stop. Tell your family. Don't buy prostitutes. My friend Tal, he's all mad, and he wants you not to buy prostitutes. Stop it. All of you. I know the girls are a little mad. It's for the best. We'll find them other money. I'm going to collect the paintings from Epstein. I'm going to find his art collection. I'll give you the money that way. We'll do it through some fund. I'll talk to the Congress. No more prostitution. Stop it. Stop buying prostitutes. I know what you're all doing. And stop abusing the children. Stop it. I'm mad. Anyway, I want to read an article for you. It's about my mom. Apropos of nothing, before we continue with this analysis, you must understand how deep this runs. But I want to read you an article. Would you pray my indulgence while I show you this? It doesn't really mean anything. I don't know nothing about nothing. I don't know who any of you are. I just want to read this article. It's very quick. I don't know where I found it. I don't know who any of you are. I don't know what's going on. Alright, so anyway, let me just show you this article, okay? Do you know who Towel Mom is? Her name's Towel Mom. She's Towel Mom. I gotta refocus this. Give me 1 second. Alright, so this is an article. I'm going to read it to you. Alright, it's about back in the day when I was just a young washcloth, but I don't know nothing about nothing. Palm Beach. Bill O'Reilly headlined Alexa Foundation's Justice is Served benefit. More than 200 guests gathered to meet and hear Bill O'Reilly speak at the It Happened to Alexa Foundation event on March 25th at the Mar-a-Lago Club. O'Reilly, who was introduced by Mr. Donald Trump, served as keynote speaker for the third annual Justice is Served benefit and entertained the crowd with his political banter as well as expressing his support for the great work being done by the It Happened to Alexa Foundation. Guests gathered for a poolside reception before heading to the main ballroom to hear O'Reilly speak, as well as Fox News contributor, legal analyst, and Alexa Advisory Board member Wendy Murphy, who served as evening master of ceremonies. The evening also featured silent and live auctions, and VIP ticket holders had the opportunity to meet O'Reilly and participate in a book signing and special reception prior to the event. Skipping forward. A highlight of the evening was live auctioneer Dick Robinson, who had guests in a bidding war for a pair of 18-karat gold, white gold, diamond, and South Sea pearl drop earrings valued at $14,000, donated by Eloquence of North Palm Beach. This year's event chairmen were Patrick Park and Nathalie Fernandez. Donald and Melania Trump and Walter Ross served as honorary chairmen. The third annual event was dedicated to the memory of Kathleen McFarland Ross, 2009 event chairman. So anyway, my point is, I don't know nothing about nothing. But anyway, that's my mom. So maybe now some of you all understand. What you understand, I don't really know. I don't know nothing about nothing. Alright? I didn't get my first GameCube from Montel Williams. That was kind of fun. I didn't meet Mr. Donahue, the guy who had the TV show. That was kind of fun. I never went out to L.A. when my mom was on power of attorney. I don't know who Dominic Barbera is. What are you talking about? Anyway, my point is I lived quite a life in the 1990s. You must understand. Yeah. And my grandfather met Mr. President. He liked Mr. President. They were friends. We talked for like 3 hours. And if Grampy liked someone, well, that's good enough for me. Anyway, so my point is, yeah, now you know. Silent Dogs, now you know. Does it all make sense now? I don't really know what happened. I think what happened was, I don't really remember. I really don't. If I did, I would tell you. I don't know what happened. I just know I was a very happy baby. My Nana said, I was hanging out with my Nana this week. She said I was a very happy baby. I was just very excitable. She said being around me was like being around a constant ball of energy. And it was really fun, but you never knew what was going to happen, and you just had to go with the flow. And it was like really enjoyable. And then you'd kind of like sit down at the end of the day and be like, I don't know what just happened, but that was a lot of fun. So anyway, I was a happy baby. And then I don't really remember what happened, but by like my youth, my like middle school and high school years, I was not a happy child. The light was gone from my eyes. I found it again. But anyway, I had all these special gifts. They didn't develop right away. Dude, that was bad. Those gifts, they were, let's just say you can't apply the gifts to like social life. It's not a good idea. I don't recommend it. And that's why I think there's like levels of them. They talk about them in the Epstein files. Like they would have like categorizations of these gifts, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it all comes from trauma. You got to induce, apparently, which is sick, trauma in the kid. And then if the kid lives and they're gifted, they'll have these like special gifts. Now, it took like 15 years or so of just being like terrified. All I know is I was really scared of needles and the nighttime. Not anymore, but like I was terrified of needles and the nighttime. I'm still terrified of needles. The nighttime, not so much. For like 15 years, it was very traumatic. And then, by like my mid-20s or 30s, I had all these gifts. I could remember everything. I could talk really fast. I was really smart. It was great. But it was traumatic for a long time. I don't really remember what happened. So anyway, I think something happened. And I think I kind of broke free. And, you know, I have this reason to believe. I've always just been around, like, even on my own volition, just like really powerful people. I don't know. I just talk to them, and they talk to me, and we talk about things. You know? My friends invented the internet. Bruce is a cool name. Anyway, I don't want to get into details, other than to say, you know, I just talk to people. And they just talk to me. I don't know why. One time I emailed Professor Brasilia at MIT. She emailed me back. It was great. We talked about natural language processing and machine learning in like 2011. But anyway, so it's been even like Professor Lessig. I just email him. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, how you doing? You know? And they email Dick Layer, how you doing? How you doing? Great. I just know a lot of people. I guess I've been around. But anyway, you know, so I forget where I was going with that story. I guess I've always just been around powerful people. So, I don't know how I broke free. Apparently, there are these rules. You know, before we go into this, I just want to talk about Orson Welles did an interview with Dick Cavett one time. And Dick Cavett asked him, how did you make Citizen Kane? And he said, I didn't know there were any rules. And I think that's what happened with me. I broke free. I was supposed to be part of their system. They had plans for Little Towel. Nobody told me about the fucking plans. They probably should have told me. But I also was not going to worship the devil. I like Jesus. I was never going to like sell out to Baal, so I don't know what the hell you want from me. But anyway, I think I broke free. But I kept the powers. And it's transactional, so I don't think I was supposed to have the powers without being part of the system. So they're all just kind of like, are we sure this is for the best, that he's just kind of out there? And then they're like, well, he's out there now. What are we going to do? You know? So anyway, I think, oh, 1 second. Little frame drop. I think we got, much like Sigmund Freud manipulated, or much like Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, manipulated the mass psychology of mind for subversive purposes to sell war and commercial products. I think, you know, maybe we're heading in a similar direction. So it worries me a little bit that these gifts were studied, and then I'm even more concerned that what Epstein was doing, this wasn't just ritualistic, as scary as this is, ritualistic child abuse. It was systematized trauma and blackmail. Blackmail is a financial instrument, and trauma is a control mechanism. So this was about institutions. This was about running every single institution by finding targets and traumatizing them at a young age, and then blackmailing them, and then psychologically controlling them. This operation had people everywhere, and they're still around. A lot of these girls and boys, they're very powerful, but they're controlled. And then you got me. I escaped. You know, one time, I was on this website when I was a kid. I guess I was in grad school. I was like medium washcloth. And these two people. There was this guy, Maxwell Hill, and this girl, A. Nut Ensill. And Ensill's a Toronto defense contractor. And, you know, they used to talk to me. They were very powerful. Their website was called Reddit. And, you know, I was around. Back in the 90s, my friends created the internet. So I knew all sorts of interesting people. So anyway, you know, Reddit got created in 2005. over in at MIT. Paul Graham incubated it. This man named Aaron Schwartz, was creating this company called Infogami. It was a Wikipedia clone with, like, you could vote on stories, like vote them up, vote them down. It was kind of the bridge between Web 1.0 and Web 2.0, like non-interactive websites to interactive websites, social media. Aaron came up with that. He also invented RSS, really simple syndication, and he was part of the team that created Creative Commons, wouldn't you know it. So anyway, Aaron met up with these guys. One was named Alexis. I think his wife is a tennis player named Serena. And the other one was named Steve. Now, Steve and Alexis were from Virginia. There's a good book about this. You can find the book on the internet somewhere. I forget what it's called. The Nerds Who Built the Internet or something. And in that book, what you will find, great author, it was written by a woman. I forget who wrote it. You're going to find that Steve and Alexis were running this company. It was first called Red Brick Solutions because they were down in Charlottesville. Then it was called Triple M. And Steve and Alexis go meet Aaron, okay, in 2005. And this guy named Paul Graham incubates Reddit. And basically what that means is Aaron talked to Steve. Alexis was the businessman. Steve coded, but he coded in, like, Lisp. And Aaron coded in C++ and also Python. Aaron wrote a webhook called web.py. It's complicated. Anyway, so Aaron goes to Steve and is like, listen, your Lisp code is bad. This is what I understand happened. I don't know if it actually happened. Your Lisp code is bad. We should rewrite this in Python using my webhook, which is actually C++, but let's just use the webhook. Aaron did it overnight, and that's how Reddit was born. So anyway, in the early days of Reddit, Little Tao was just being a little Tao. I was in grad school. And these two people, they kept trying to talk to me. I didn't know who they were. They didn't tell me who they were. One of them was clearly a girl, a woman. She was very motherly and utensil. And the other one was a man. And Maxwell Hill. And I don't know. I always got a weird vibe. I never talked to them after 2014, but they were weird. Like, just weird. Like, they were too interested in me, and they never talked to anybody else, and they were very powerful. And the seed money for Reddit came from the Newhouse family through advanced publications. It was like $20,000. But I never believed that was where the money came from. I always thought it was like a shell, and I thought the real money was these two people, Maxwell Hill and Ann Utensil. I could just tell, you know, because I was just really close to the people involved. And I was like, they actually run this. I don't know why, but I could just tell they were in charge. So anyway, I never talked to them after. They never told me who they were. I never could put my finger on it. I really couldn't. They were just too interested in me, and I never could figure out why. I couldn't. It made no sense, because other people would be like, why won't these people talk to me? I need to talk to them. And I'd be like, I don't know. You can talk to me. So anyway, when I was doing the Epstein file research earlier this year, somebody reached out to me. It was really unsettling. Multiple unsettling things happened. But what the most unsettling thing was somebody reached out to me and was like, did you ever consider, first of all, I kind of hinted that I thought it was Maxwell and Epstein, but somebody reached out and was like, did you ever consider that the reason that Maxwell and Epstein were so interested in talking to you is they wanted to know how you broke free? Excuse me? How would you know that? How would you know that? Random woman, who I bet is in a low-security prison camp out in Arizona, with access to email and other stuff that most prisoners don't have. How would you know that? And why were you so interested in me? What am I? What am I the product of? What unholy union created me? Do I even want to know? It's freaky. We're going to get back to this video. I'm going to show you more, but I just want to let you know, might be fate, whatever you want to call it, but there's a reason I'm involved in all this. And I don't understand. I don't. I really don't. I read stuff, but everybody reads stuff. I went to law school. All my colleagues read the same stuff as me. The only difference was they couldn't understand why for me it was more like a hobby. And I didn't understand for them why it was like arduous. We just didn't, I don't consume material the same way, I guess. I don't know. My point is, I don't know where these gifts come from. I've always considered them sui generis, but I'm worried that there was a systematized weaponization of adolescent trauma to induce these gifts and then utilize them for the benefit of various institutions without the people who were traumatized realizing what was going on. It was until it was too late and you were already in too deep. And then you have to do what they tell you. And I think it kind of fell apart, but I think Epstein was just the head of the iceberg. These people are running scared. They definitely used frame jobs. They definitely used fake criminal charges. They definitely use violence, death. But they're scared. And I think Edon was the turning point. I think once Edon started calling him out, they were like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh no. Edon knows. Yeah, dude, who do you think? Mossad and the KGB might have started it, but who do you think was who was monitoring the Mossad? Edon. Who do you think was monitoring Saudi Arabia when they did 9/11? Edon. And Russia. They've known the whole time. They just waited tactically. They waited. For whatever reason, the Epstein files came out in what was called a modified limited hangout. Only part of them came out as pressure. The war started. Edon then turned it around, pointed out that was why the war started, and used the win in the war to isolate the Khashoggi and Epstein class. It really started, it was a KGB Mossad thing, but it also was used by Middle Eastern intelligence, like the Sultan of Brunei. Don't get yourself confused. No one religion or country was backing this. It was a systematic operation funded mostly by multinational corporations, laundered through sovereign state wealth funds, and then private intel and formal intelligence agencies under the name of national security. What an oxymoron. Anyway, it started back with Adnan Khashoggi. He was this gun runner in the Middle East. He also did bad things to children. He had a yacht. It was called the Nabia. He sold it to Robert Maxwell. Don't ask too many questions about that sale. Robert Maxwell died on that yacht. And then Adnan Khashoggi, by the way, got arrested in 1990. He was held in a Swiss prison, brought to New York on charges of working with the ex-First Lady of the Philippines, Isabella Stewart Marcos, to steal $160 million worth of paintings. Khashoggi gets to New York on extradition waivers in July of 1990. And wouldn't you know it, 3 days later, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum gets robbed. In 1975, a thief by the name of Miles Connor was facing federal charges, so he stole a Rembrandt and used it to get his sentence reduced with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston by 10 years. Adnan Khashoggi stole my damn paintings. They were left to the people of Massachusetts by Isabella Stewart Gardner. His people went in there. It was Daryl Nitke and those other paramilitary intelligence goons who lived with Khashoggi's son at Eton College in the UK a few years prior. They stole my freaking paintings so they could use it as leverage to get Khashoggi's sentence reduced. Adnan Khashoggi. Khashoggi was found not guilty in July of 1990, so they had no use for my damn paintings, and they just took them. I want them back. So what was it really about? What were Epstein and Khashoggi really doing? A few things. 1, blackmail, psychological control. 2, tax cheats. They were tax cheats. They stole our freaking resources, and then they didn't want to pay taxes, and they apparently wanted to have sex with children. Sorry to be so blunt about it, but that's what they did. And they wanted to do it through this very layered system of control involving psychological manipulation and trauma. They hurt the damn kids, and I'm mad about it. And they hurt the animals. Don't even get me started on the doggy video. Oh, God, I had forgotten about it. Don't get... Oh, it was bad. It was bad. Oh, they hurt the little doggy. And the little girl. It was bad. It was censored, but it was bad. So bringing this all back together. You now see, in my opinion, what we're dealing with. We're dealing with one tentacle of a systemic apparatus of control that needed brothels, that needed enforcers. They operated everywhere. They infected every organ of government. Just look at how, at the end of Kathy Rumler, the White House counsel for Obama, at the end of her term as White House counsel, before she failed to become Attorney General because the Senate wouldn't confirm her, so she just stopped. Do you understand that in January of 2015, I think it was January 8th of 2015, Ms. Rumler emailed Jeffrey Epstein while he was a convicted sex offender and said that she had gotten the CIA's Agency Award Medal that day from then Director John Brennan. She followed up a few months later and talked about how she wanted. Epstein then emailed her a few months later and said he wanted to come to Washington to do CIA, NSA, and boy stuff with her. Why do I point this out? Well, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Obama's DOJ at the time was negotiating a tax cheat settlement with the Rothschild family, who was represented by Mr. Epstein. The Rothschilds didn't want to pay $80 million in taxes that they owed to my country. So what did they do? They settled for $40 million, paid $25 to Epstein, and $10 to Ms. Rumler. Ms. Rumler had to resign from Goldman Sachs last month because of my reporting. The New York Times wouldn't even give me credit. Christine Mitchell says, "Thank you, Grant. I hope Krusty gets found out." Oh, they're all part of it. God bless you. That's my opinion. I heard rumors, I can't confirm it, that some of these people in the orbit of the state police and in the orbit of these brothels, they were pimping the girls. I don't want to hear about that. I'm so mad. You don't understand. This network must fall. There is no other option. This is non-negotiable. Now listen, I trust in U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. Listen. I believe in her. Now this needs to be managed. You can't, you gotta compartmentalize it. I know, some of you are going to be like, but Grant, no, we gotta go after them all. Nope. Empires fall because countries internally collapse first. I was listening to Will Durant about it last night, about the fall of Rome. It took like 250 years. It took longer for Rome to fall than most countries exist. How about them apples? So anyway, listen, have you ever done a Jenga puzzle? All right? You don't just kick the Jenga puzzle. That's not going to work. First of all, you won't have a Jenga puzzle anymore. Second of all the pieces are going to be all over the floor. Third of all, what if you don't put them together? What if someone's like, I don't want to put them together again? Well, I want to put Humpty together again. We're mixing metaphors here. So anyway, God bless you. Tiffany Bob sent 5 memberships. If your name is NS Nancy, M. Dange Riley, MITKS77, Angela 219, or Diana Mata 6476, the wonderful Tiffany Bob, shout out Tiffany Bob and Tiffany Bob's mom, started a membership parade for you. You're so wonderful, Tiffany Bob. But yes, allow me to continue with my rant. I think in some ways, yes, the Jenga puzzle. So when you want to play Jenga, we're not playing chess anymore, okay? We're playing Jenga, all right? We've played chess long enough. Not me. We've all won the chess game, okay? They're in checkmate. It's not a question. Hi, Doc Swatson. It's so good to see you. There's no more chess. We're playing Jenga, all right? Now listen. You gotta pick certain core supporting blocks to remove. You gotta you got to pick important blocks. You want to hold the block up. Ideally, you want to get the most blocks. I don't know how to play Jenga. I guess you want to pull blocks out and have the most without the tower falling. And you don't want to be the person who knocks the tower over. Something like that. I don't know. It's rudimentary, but you get the point. If you're the DOJ, hypothetically, I don't know nothing about nothing. You got to pick the blocks, okay, that you can pull out, okay, and wave around while the tower, without anyone realizing it, doesn't collapse. Now, a lot of people, including the enemies of America, want the whole tower to collapse. That is bad for America. Okay? That's bad. We don't want that. Okay? That's bad. We want to compartmentalize. We want to use their tactics against them. We want to compartmentalize the bad actors. You don't cut the heads off the snake. That's not going to work here. You got to compartmentalize, and then you got to charge. And then you allow, much like, think of it like a prosecution, but in reverse. You allow certain people to walk away as long as they do the right thing in terms of holding other people accountable. You roll the low fish through public accountability and force them in an inverted system to hold accountable the big fish, and you give the little fish, who some of whom want to do the right thing, political cover through public discourse to do the right thing without them getting eliminated. Everyone on the same page? Are we all speaking the same language? Very good. We're playing Jenga. Just a very delicate game of Jenga. The tower is still standing. Oh, maybe that's a bad analogy. The republic is still standing. The Jenga-based republic. Oh, thank you for that green thumbs up. God bless you. Aussie, Cheryl, and Amanda. But yes, so that's what's going on. Now, to me, here's what I think they should do. This is my opinion. You got an opportunity to take this state police unit that over decades, in my opinion, was a Gestapo paramilitary force for those brothels. And you got an opportunity to be like, they're the problem. You know how Nixon fell on his sword to protect the fact that the plumbers broke into the Chilean embassy a little bit before they broke into the DNC because they were actually operating with CIA permission, and Watergate was a CIA op because the DNC was taking money from the Cubans? Ironically, the plumbers also used Cubans, but they were anti-Castro Cubans, so that's different. So, my point with all that spiel, before we get to the conclusion of this video, is it's very clear, in my opinion, how delicate this is. Okay? But Nixon fell on his sword to preserve the republic. These cops, he proverbially did. Somebody, before this whole system, which will hurt America, collapses, has got to just fall on their sword, proverbially. I don't know who the hell it's going to be. But they got to pick people, and they got to have them get up there and be like, listen, yep, Epstein and that unit and that whole thing, it was actually us. Like, we were it. It was central. It was just Massachusetts. We worked for him. We shouldn't have done it. It was wrong. And then we got to move on. If the church could do it with Crimen Solicitationes, don't ask too many questions about Canon 904 and the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith and Papa Ratzinger and Pope Benedict, who is Pope Benedict. Don't ask too many questions. But if the church can do it, we can do it. We gotta deal with this. It's not going away. Maybe if we had won the Iran war, but it didn't go away. It's not going away. And for some reason, like the Aurora Borealis from The Simpsons, it's localized in Massachusetts. So just deal with it. It's the perfect... First of all, it was mostly Democrats here. Everybody's happy with that. Okay, there's no political problem with going after Democrats. Second of all, you gotta pick someone. You gotta pick some group of cops and DAs and judges. So, I love this country dearly. And it's not that the Karen Reed case in isolation, or the Aidan Carney case in isolation, or the Sandra Birchmore case in isolation, or the Tiffany Overstreet case in isolation, are the problem with America. Okay? Each of them in their own ways, and the John O'Keefe case, of course, as well, are manifestations of this larger problem. We cannot go to all 50 states, not to mention the international issues, and try everyone. We can't. What do you want to do? Have mass tribunals? That's not going to work. Okay? And we cannot expose whatever the hell tormented reasoning the corporate-funded intelligence community told itself made this okay. And first and third of all, we don't care about foreign intel agencies anymore. We don't care. We just don't care. This is America. They don't get to control our domestic politics. Nothing. Nobody cares. And stop soliciting prostitutes. Then nobody will care because they won't have any damn blackmail. Didn't you learn? All right. And then we got to hold up, just like Watergate. This is Watergate. You could just listen to me, the powers that be, I beg you. You can just make Proctorgate Watergate. Think about it. Not just Michael Proctor. He was just a line guy. He was complicit, but he was just a fucking, errand boy, basically, for this operation. Just take the lot of them in Massachusetts. You can track it from Mark Sir and his time at the Norfolk DASPDU unit right through Tully, the whole command and control. Maybe Lenny Coppenrath is in that list too. I don't know, some of the other guys. Just take them and put them on federal trial and say these guys were the problem. And don't give them an option. All right? If the whole system just picks them, that's how Watergate was solved, or no one's going to move on. The country needs answers. This is good enough. And John O'Keefe's family will get answers. Sandra Birchmore's family will get answers. Tiffany Overstreet, God bless her, will hopefully absolutely be able to get vindicated. Okay? And Eden Carney, okay, will also be vindicated. And people will understand what happened to him. And what might still be happening to him. I'm a little bit worried that it's not Aiden that was threatening people, it's that people were threatening Aiden. Mark my words. Mark my words. If you did that, and you attempted to either falsely blackmail him, or threaten him, or whatever, I will find out. I'll tell the government. I know what you did. Stop it. You let those birdies free. What did I say about the damn birdies? There's not to be one birdie coercively controlled, blackmailed, extorted, manipulated, hurt, killed, or otherwise. Or Towel, juridically, is going to be the one who knocks. And I got a lot of friends in government. And I'll call them. I'll say, government, they hurt one of my birdies. Government get all mad. Don't hurt Towel's birdies. Don't do it. Don't do it. You let them free. You let those birdies free. That's the deal. There's no negotiation. They're free. They do whatever they want, except for prostitution or buying prostitutes. That's not allowed. I'll get all mad. They are to be able to do whatever they want. Whatever they want. And if I hear about a single threat, a single act of violence, I will be very mad. Drop it. It's over. Drop it. I have to treat them like dogs sometimes. Drop it. End it. Now. For the Republic that we all love so dearly, I thought. For the children. For Jesus. End it. End it. Call it off. There's very little money left. You're facing diminishing returns. End it. Now. I've had enough. Doesn't even really bother me personally anymore. I don't care. But there's wider implications that go beyond me. End it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep kneecapping rhetorically your operatives. They're not very good at what they do. Do you really want me to ask too many questions about sheep-dipped state intelligence informants who are now working in the private sector? Do you really want me to? Because I can. The Globe wants a list. There's 857 of them. The Globe's going to get the list. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. I know what you did. I know what some of you did. Why Naples, Florida is involved in this, I don't want to know. Alright? And they get to keep the cars, by the way. Ha! Sucks for you. End it. Now. Or the apology will be in writing. I think I'm being quite reasonable. You know, considering everything that has happened over the past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, however many years you want to say, whenever you got involved in this, I think I'm being very reasonable. What did they call this in the Iran-US war? I'm offering an off-ramp to no one in particular. I'm speaking generally. I'm petitioning the government for redress of my grievances. I'm offering, I think, a very reasonable off-ramp for everyone involved. Okay? Modified limited hangout in the form of accountability, and these MSP officers and the local cops who enabled them, and DAs and judges, all having to fall on their sword rhetorically, juridically, and take accountability. Okay? Country moves on, and you end the private intelligence operation now. Those are my terms. They're non-negotiable. They're going to happen whether you want them to or not. So the question is, are you going to go rhetorically kicking and screaming? As I told Christy, are you going to F a lot of people's lives up? Or are we going to end this now? I've offered a very reasonable off-ramp, in my opinion, by virtue of my petitioning the government for redress of my grievances. So yeah, God bless America. I'll take you back to the video now, but I just want those people to know. I can sense, I can feel it in my towel soul. You know, I need to deliver upon to them this message. I can sense, I can feel it. They're really thinking about it too. I think they should do it. I really do. Just feel that energy in my soul. It just radiates goodness. Don't you want to feel that? It's very pleasant. Let's do it. I'm not ready to forgive anyone. In fact, I think a lot of you, only really God can forgive you. You probably should find Jesus, or whatever you want to call God. I prefer Jesus, but you know, you do you. And you can't call Baal God. That doesn't count. Nope. Nope. The stress is self-imposed. Do you understand? I'm speaking generally, not to any of you in chat. It is self-imposed. You are causing this. Okay? Free yourself. Liberate all of us. It's gonna keep going. Do you understand? It's gonna get worse. All of us are suffering. It's terrible. I want it to end. Let my people go. Please. It's time. Why? The more that I look into this, the darker it gets. Okay? And the public is not gonna stop. Okay, Judge Gildea appealing to the days of yore is not going to work. Okay? It's 2026. What the people want is no different than what they wanted in 74. A scapegoat. It's not going to be as simple this time. It's not just Ehrlichman and Haldeman and Dean and Mitchell and Sturgis and E. Howard Hunt and the rest of them that got to go down. It's this whole, well, and as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, there's a lot of corollaries to Interpen. And they don't got to go down for the JFK hit, by analogy. They got to go down for something. It's got to be packaged reasonably to preserve the Republic. Why am I not doing this? Maybe they wanted me to do this. Someone should bring towel. No, I guess you really can't. Because I like to talk. You know, people like to. If I just went away, people would be like, oh God, which government agency got to him? Then if I came back to be like, oh yeah, the government got to him. So they can't do that. But my point is, I guess I could just tell them. But yeah, that's the solution. And the people involved, listen to me. I want to speak generally, about no one in particular. You got to stop. It's not healthy. What you're doing is not healthy. There was a quote from Nixon, okay, about when you let the people that you're trying to get, when you hate them, and you let that hate consume you, you only destroy yourself. And that's what's happening. It's this perpetual obsession, okay? And it's not working, okay? Your guilt is not going to be ridden by some kind of public, like, you know, celebration. It's not going to happen. It was never going to happen. You have to discharge that guilt, like, through the proper channels. It's weighing on their soul. I can see it weighing on your souls, not you in the chat. I can see it. It's draining the life out of them. And it's such a heavy burden to bear every day. Why would you want to live with that? You got to go to bed and wake up every morning consumed by it. Free yourself and free my people. You've done so much harm. I'm not speaking to anyone in particular. You know who you are. You've done so much harm. And there's no benefit. You're not thriving. It's a new age. You're not channeling that trauma clearly into anything beneficial. There's no power. All you're doing is bringing down other people and hurting the people that were working for you. Maybe you don't care, but eventually that system has to stop. It's modern feudalism by other means, and you've just ruined so many lives. It's wrong. It needs to stop. Plus, you're down to like the D team. What do you got left? How many more operatives you're gonna burn? Seriously, just because you found someone with a criminal record that you can blackmail, does not mean you gotta go force them out there to be your dog and pony show. Like, come on, it's just sad at this point. There's nothing redeeming about talking about these cases. The perpetuation of this fight exists only to insulate people from accountability whose cover-up is collapsing and who use the most ridiculous mechanisms possible in the social media sphere to do so. By the way, you know what they say. 3 people can keep a secret when 2 of them are dead, rhetorically. You all didn't just bring people in. You brought in the biggest liabilities that I could imagine. People who like to run their mouth and brag about being close to power. Hello. Do you think that's a good idea? And by the way, there's no immunity for crimes committed in one's official position or as a lawyer. There's no immunity. You can sometimes get immunity if you inadvertently violate an evidentiary rule or a constitutional rule. You can get immunity from civil suit. There's no immunity from criminal acts committed in your official position, ever. Imagine what that system would set up. You might have sovereign immunity under 18 or whatever it is, USC 1942, the Civil Rights Statute. You might have constructive immunity, depending on the circumstances. It's pretty broad. It's hard to defeat that in a civil context, but not criminally. Good luck arguing sovereign immunity for actually committing a crime while a lawyer or a cop. No chance. There is judicial immunity. There is juridical immunity for civil suits. Like, lawyers can't really be sued. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I did go to law school. If you put something in a pleading, you can't really be sued. You could have an ethics complaint filed. You could be sanctioned. You can't really be sued. But if you commit a crime or fraud and then admit to it in a pleading, it can totally be used against you. There's no blanket immunity from criminal prosecution just because you're in an official position or you're a lawyer. That would be very bad. In fact, ideally, you probably shouldn't ask your client if they did it. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but yeah, don't do that. All right. I want to hang out with Towel Girlfriend at the top of the hour. Let's get through the end of this video. There's going to be more, I'm sure. What an interesting, lead up and then intro and then rant and then lecture, all related back somehow to Michael Proctor and Karen Reed and John O'Keefe in this car. Isn't it fascinating? You know, it's like somebody was like, listen, shit, these videos are gonna expose all this. We gotta do everything we can to make this presentable but hide it, because this is it. This is the June 23rd, 1972 tape where by analogy, where Nixon says to Ehrlichman and Haldeman, call Pat Gray, the then FBI director, and tell him this is national security and to stop investigating it. It's a smoking gun. We need a Judge Sirica. You know, someone the other day was like, who do we need for this case? Judge Sirica. God rest his soul. You want to talk about... Now, I think he managed a modified limited hangout to some extent. He never got too much into the whole Cuban embassy break-in. Or, no, excuse me, Chilean embassy break-in. And he certainly didn't ask about, in Nixon's words, that whole Bay of Pigs thing. Interpen, the unit that did Watergate, was the same one that was involved in the JFK hit. They were, it's complicated. It went back to 51, actually, through 58. This guy, Frank Sturgis, was the head of the Air Force for Castro's revolutionaries. And Castro wasn't a communist. He ran like a 10-year uprising. And he told the U.S. that he was a capitalist. And in 58, 59, when he won, it turns out he didn't want to be a capitalist. He became a communist. So Frank Sturgis and his unit were expelled. Now, Frank Sturgis was working with Santo Trafficante and Johnny Roselli and Momo. Momo is Sam Giancana. You got to be careful about calling people Momo, because that's Sam Giancana. And, Meyer Lansky. And Castro stole a lot of money from the mob and then kicked them out of Cuba and kicked the U.S. out of Cuba and then became a communist and protected himself from mob retaliation by aligning with the Soviet Union. Now you know what the Cuban Missile Crisis was really about. He's the only person I know that stole from the mob and lived. Stole a lot of money, too. That was hundreds of millions, maybe more. It was all in the banks. That's how they were hiding it. And he tricked them, too. He rug pulled them because he told them they could stay for a few months, and then he expelled them. He arrested Trafficante or something. So anyway, by 61, you got to imagine Frank Sturgis and this other guy named Gerald Patrick Hemming, they were kind of pissed. And so were Roselli and Momo and the entire commission. They were all made. And so what they did, everyone was mad by 61 at Castro. And I'm going to wait for the frame drop to come back. Give me 1 second. Come on now. We're back. Come on. Everyone was mad in 61 at Castro. So there was this paramilitary unit of former Army guys that was working for the CIA, and they were called Interpen. And we're back. So interesting how that dropped there. But just remember, so the JFK is like mad at the CIA. The CIA is mad at JFK, and the mob's mad at JFK. Okay. About, I don't know, a year later, in the fall of 62, there's the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, the real reason the Cuban Missile Crisis happened is that JFK continued to send, with basically giving his blessing, he continued to send CIA operatives to Cuba with the mob's insistence to try to kill Castro. The plan infamously was launched in 62. In early 62, in this hotel room out in Vegas, maybe Nevada, Clark County, it wasn't actually in Vegas, it was outside of Vegas. And Johnny Roselli goes and meets with this CIA guy, and he gives Roselli, they talk about 3 options, like just a straight gangland hit of Castro, and they're like, no one will do that. And then they thought about using a woman to do something, and they were like, nah, not a good idea. So then Roselli is given 6 poisoned capsules and told to. So Khrushchev, in his infinite wisdom, puts missiles on Cuba in response to American paramilitary units trying to overthrow the country. The very same paramilitary unit, of course, that would go on to do Watergate. Well, JFK negotiates a secret agreement. It's called a side agreement with the Russians, with the Soviets during the Cuban Missile Crisis, where he promises to stop domestic, in Cuba, clandestine anti-Castro assassination attempts. Well, in December of 62, Frank Sturgis and Hemming and their unit get arrested down near No Name Key in Florida for violations of U.S. neutrality law. All right, well, that same unit goes up to Lake Pontchartrain in the winter of 63. It's the lake north of Louisiana where they train for the Bay of Pigs, that same unit. They go up there from like the spring of 62 through the summer of spring of 63 through the summer of 63. You can see where this is going. The same guys, they're training up there north of Louisiana. They meet up with this guy, Lee Harvey Oswald, in about August. He's a fascinating story, tracking his trip from El Toro in 58 through to when he arrives back from the Soviet Union in like 62 in New York, down to Dallas, then to Louisiana, then to Lake Pontchartrain. Hooks up with them, like he's a sheep dip CIA guy, like pretending to be an anti-communist who's actually, or pretending to be a communist who's actually an anti-communist. He gets beaten up in Louisiana, Lee Harvey Oswald, as a pretext so he can go to the Cuban embassy, which he never really does, in Mexico City, in order to try to get a visa. The Cubans pick up on it and deny it because he was trying to claim political asylum. Anyway, Lee Harvey Oswald, working with Lee Patrick, Frank Sturgis, and Gerald Patrick Hemming, they kind of coordinate JFK's hit. It had a lot to do with, in particular, the deal that JFK made with the Soviets, which upset the mob who he owed favors to because they helped him win Illinois. And then it also upset the CIA, who was mad that they couldn't stop the proliferation of communism in Cuba. And the mob and the CIA were working for very similar people, which has to do with this corporate establishment that I don't really want to get too much into. You can look more into Attorney General Biddle if you really, really want to learn about it. So anyway, my point with that is I tell that story because those same exact guys were the ones that Nixon had doing the break-in of the DNC and the Chilean embassy in 72 that led to Watergate. What's my point here? When they did that Watergate investigation and forced Nixon to resign, did you hear anyone going out there and talking to people about how Nixon and his men were involved in the like JFK murder and all that? No. They didn't even mention the Chilean embassy burglary because it's called a modified limited hangout. If there's going to be a systemic resolution to this corruption, it needs to come in the form of something akin to Watergate, hence Proctorgate. I'm trying to create an off-ramp here that doesn't involve destroying the entire American government because of the bad choices of a few men and women who couldn't apparently satiate their appetite for control and, in some cases, children. So there's nothing like worthwhile or redeeming about defending about that. They only are like getting by in some sense because the integrity of the republic is at stake and it could collapse if the full picture was revealed. And that's frankly, I think, why when Truman Capote wrote In Cold Blood, and this is why true crime as a genre was set up to fail from the beginning. When Truman Capote went out to Kansas to write In Cold Blood, and mark my words, you can read the book and every word is true, from the 80s, from the son of the Kansas Bureau of Investigator who was in charge of the case. Truman Capote went out there and he found out what actually happened with the Clutter family murder, which was a political hit, and wrote it instead as a mere burglary. Because he couldn't tell the full story, and that's why it almost broke him. That's why he had to talk to Harper Lee so much while writing that book. Alright? How apropos is it, historical serendipity made manifest, that Mr. Capote's book thus birthed a genre that in some ways has redeemed the American Republic, but also for way too long paralyzed it with propaganda and artificial modified limited hangouts that, although insulated the structure of the existing social, political, and civil order, compromise the asymptotic pursuit of truth that defines human flourishing, human eudaimonia or summum bonum in the ancient Greek or Latin, respectively. And perhaps it's the internet that allowed us all to break free. And perhaps true crime as a genre can still redeem itself by inverting that perverse approach that Truman Capote took to the Clutter family murders. Mr. Clutter was on President Carter's Agricultural Advisory Board, and the map that the robbers used to rob that barn, or that farm where Mr. Clutter supposedly had $10,000 in a safe, was created after the robbers were in jail, despite the fact that they said they got it from a man who was in jail with them that had worked on the farm 3 years earlier. Some new buildings were present on the map that did not exist when that man worked on the farm and were not built until all 3 convicts were in jail. So, with, oh, hi, Bossy Texas Chicken Bella. How are you? You've been popping up everywhere, my dear friend. I've seen you around. How are you doing? How's Bella? What do you think? Did John Fanning cover up Sandra Birchmore's murder? Is Brian Tully a bad guy? Was Kate Peter working as a private investigator, laundered through Marty Kraft and Brian Albert's firms, such as to facilitate the subsidized public prosecution of Karen Reed and Aidan Carney with private dollars? I'm just wondering. I have questions. I hope you've been well. Does Bella want to answer? Bella's a cat. Bella? Listen, I know you're in the kitty CIA. It's time to have an intervention. All right, Bella, we got to do a modified limited hangout for the good of the Republic. Hashtag I'm a towel. That was a lot of fun. Hi, Petty LaBelle. It's so good to see you. Hi, Pick a Handle. Hi, Jen's dog, Jonah. Hi, Diane Mata. Hi, 3 Clerk Monty. Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on Black Mass and the Norfolk DA William Delahunt and how the FBI in Boston has been at war with the Norfolk DA ever since the 70s. You got to read that book. I don't really want to dive deep into it. It has to do with the old Norfolk DA seeing Stevie Flemmi threaten some guy over a mob debt owed to Whitey Bulger. And then it culminates in the Norfolk DA, the old one, in the 70s, trying to report that to the FBI. And the FBI refusing to investigate, and the DOJ, because Whitey and Flemmi were working as informants for H. Paul Rico and then John Conley to investigate the Angelos. And so then, when the Norfolk DA and MSP thought something was weird, they set up wiretaps on the Hanover Street garage in the North End where Whitey and Stevie were working. And that was right around the corner from 95 Prince Street in town where the Angelos had their operation. And Whitey and Stevie were spying on the Angelos for the feds. And then the state police were simultaneously spying on Whitey and Stevie. The feds leaked the existence of the state police wiretaps to Whitey and Stevie, who blew the operation, in turn leading to an all-out war of attrition, yada, yada, yada. I don't mean to yada, 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 Black Mass, but there's a lot of stuff that happens. The state police get retaliated against that specific group by Whitey's brother, Billy Bulger, who was the president of the Senate. Ironically, Michael Morrissey was in the Senate at the same time. They pass a bill of attainder to try to fire the state cops. It's like a budget amendment who were spying on Whitey and Stevie. The governor never signs it. And then eventually John Conley gets exposed. The FBI loses face over Whitey. And it's all because of that happenstance situation with the Norfolk DA William Delahunt and the state police who just wouldn't let it go. So anyway, it's very complicated. It has a lot of history to it. It pops up again and again. And the reason why I think the feds are probably going to pick this unit, this is just my opinion, this unit and this DA to make an example of, is because this unit and this DA, although it was their predecessors, embarrassed the FBI. And if you know anything about the FBI is a long memory. They're good at what they do, and you don't embarrass the FBI. All right? They got to make political decisions sometimes, sure, which is different than being embarrassed. But what the state police did and the Norfolk DA in the 90s to the FBI was actually embarrassing them, and you don't do that. So, yeah, I had a Red Bull today. It's actually an energy drink. It was quite a morning. We covered a lot of history there. We got to finish this video, though. Let's go. So watch. Karen's car has arrived, jumping right back into this video. Now take a look. You see, somebody gets out. Okay, I think that's the tow truck driver. Might have been one of the state cops. There's a jump in the footage on the left. Now look over here. You can see this guy. That's the same guy, okay, from both videos, okay? The guy gets out of the car. I'm going to guess that's the tow truck driver. We're going to follow him, though. Okay, yeah, that's the tow truck driver. He goes up to the front of the car. We kind of see them talking for longer here than in this footage. He's going to slip a little bit, take a picture of the license plate. He's the tow truck driver. Now that's Proctor. Proctor in this footage is already over by Karen's taillight, okay? But in this footage, he's still right here. Now watch this. And this is where it all gets weird. Proctor then lumbers over to Karen's taillight in this footage. So now Proctor's in the same place in both footages. He's like over here, Okay, that's his like top of his hat, sweatshirt right there. And then he's right here. Okay, this is the tow truck driver. Now watch what happens. This is mind-blowing. Tow truck driver, this is the mystery man moment. The tow truck driver, according to this, should come out of this garage right about now. Okay, see him lumbering? That's the tow truck driver. That's Proctor. This guy should be coming out of the garage. He should already be on my camera over here. He's not. Now watch. Why is this so operative? This is when the mystery man shows up over here. Watch. Look right here. Look it. That's the mystery man. He is not on this footage at all. At all. Neither the tow truck driver, right there, we're going to see a little movement, so I'm going to try to piece it back together, but neither the tow truck driver or the mystery man is included as of right now on this footage at all. They never show up. So let's watch. Now that's the mystery man lumbering away. It should be captured. He walked into my camera view. Nothing. And that's Michael Proctor walking away after the mystery man lumbers away. Now where are they on my effing camera over here? Where are they? Where are they? Now I get a soul figure walking, okay? A soul figure walking away. He turns. He kind of lumbers. That's not what the guys did in the footage we just watched over here. Nobody walked away and then came back. This guy, that means all of this is missing from the footage on the left. This guy, what appears to be the tow truck driver, comes back and does apparently take a picture of the back plate, it looks like. Okay, now watch this. That footage has already moved on. We're now way later and someone else has come to talk to Proctor near Karen's taillight. But focus on this over here. Who's that guy? Where's he going? Was that the mystery man or was that the... Because notice Karen's taillight turned... Actually, you know what? We can sync this exactly. When do Karen's taillights turn off in this footage? So Karen's taillights turn off here. Watch this. Watch her taillights turn off right after the mystery man walks away. Right there. Okay? Right after the mystery man walks away on the footage on the left, Karen's taillights turn off. Karen's taillights are still on over here. So by the time Proctor walks away, Karen's taillight is off in this left video. Look at this right video. Taillight's still on. Taillight's still on. Guy walks away. Guy comes back, taillight's still on, taillight's still on, taillight's still on, taillight's still on. All of this is missing from over here. Taillight's still on, taillight's still on, which means this is not the same guy because the taillight's off here. Taillight's on. Who was taking that picture? It's not in this footage. Oh, it's worse than I thought, huh? Look it, I can prove it. Those taillights are on. Who's that guy? Why isn't that footage contained in here? I should have seen him walk up to that car and take that picture or talk to that guy, and then he walks away. Is that the mystery man? And then the light's the mystery man! It's the mystery man! That's him! The light turns off right after he walks away! It's the mystery man! We've proven it! We've proven it. Colleen Crawford, eat your heart out. That's the mystery man. The tail light turns off in both videos right after he walks away. We got more footage of him. Boom. Got him. They manipulated this video to hide the mystery man talking to Proctor. And then it gets more intense. Oh, wait till you see what happens next. Look, 5:38:07. Okay, that's Proctor walking away. That's Proctor walking away after the mystery man. It was at 5:38. Now watch what happens. We're going to just let it play. 5:38:16, 17, 18. This is way ahead at this point. Okay, all of this stuff that just happened is missing from this footage. 538, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. There's another. There were 3 guys by the tail light. The mystery man, Proctor, and then someone else is over there. What's he doing? Who's he? There's 2 mystery men. Oh! Oh my goodness. Who are you, mystery man? Who's the other mister? There were 3. Oh. Oh, this is bad. Who are you, mystery man? What are you doing over there? Wait a minute. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. Is that Michael Proctor again? At 39? He's hunking back. Oh, he's lumbering back over there. Oh, this is missing from there. But look, there's Proctor back on that camera. Oh, he's lumbering. 539.01. He's talking to someone. He's talking to the unknown second mystery man. 539.03. And then the camera pauses, and we don't pick up until 539.37. Oh, we got him. We got him. And then it's the scene, wait a minute, with the 3 of them. And then it cuts again from 539.37 to 5:39.54. And then there's the group of them, and then the officers start shoveling. Is that this group here? Yeah, then it's all of them. Got it. You bastards. Oh, you sneaky, sneaky bastards. Oh. Wow. We got him. I've definitively proven it. It is indisputable. I have proven it. I'm going to have to track exactly how much time is missing. But I have proven it. Colleen Crawford slipped up. Got her. I'm a tail. I'm so proud. I'm a proud little tail. I did it. I knew I could do it. Oh, the tail light. Who knew the tail light being on and off at a certain time would be the key to it all? Those are called anchor events. Probably one of my prouder moments. That was very impressive, if I do say so myself. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but that was really good. Wow. Wow. I've blown my own mind. Take a bow, towel. Take a bow. I'm taking a bow. Excellent. Oh my word. I don't know what to say right now. Suppose I should cut a report on it. My voice is kind of tired, but I kind of want to go for a walk. I'll do that in a minute. I don't believe what I've just done. Wow. You don't see that every day. I'm a little bit stunned. I don't really know what to say. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. Or this obvious. Well, it's not really obvious. She did a decent job. But come on now. Thank you for being you, Picking. You can't get one. You can't get it past Hal. I knew I would find it. I didn't know it would be that. I mean, it's not really that obvious. I just didn't know it would be that. But you never know what it's going to be, I suppose. You just got to have a keen eye. I really would like a cigar, though. And I can't find one. I'm very frustrated. Can someone just make one appear? I really wish one would just appear. I feel a little hopeless. You know, that's that whole executive functioning thing. You're just kind of like, why can't it just be in my hand? Why do I have to do things to make things appear? I wish it could just be here now. Oh, I thought I was going to get lucky. You know, I would just like to say, there have been moments during this case where I found things where I was blown away by. I think this is the big one, though. We're going to need Kyle and Emily C. to kind of review it all, in my opinion. But I think I got him. I don't think they can get out of this one. All right. Let me cut the explanation. I can't believe you got to see that live. Good plan, Pick a Handle. We will grow tobacco. Can we grow tobacco? Have you ever thought about combining tomatoes and tobacco? I feel like we shouldn't give it to kids, obviously. But, you know, probably be a healthy alternative. Don't tell the cigarette companies. I found one! Oh, this is a glorious day. I wasn't ready to cut my report till I got a cigar. I can't believe I proved this. Oh yeah, if you're coming in late, you want to rewatch what just happened. That was a crazy moment. I figured it out. I was looking very keenly. First of all, you have to basically be an expert in this footage to have found that. Which, I mean, oh yeah, I guess I'm a little compulsive. But yeah, I did a good job. I'm very proud. Towel girlfriend's gonna be proud. She's gonna be all proud. I'm all proud. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, Karen's defense got this in Discovery. Bossy Texas Chick said, "You missed my compliment about you being the little engine that could. Your happy birthday video to me remains my favorite digital content ever." Well, that we can agree on. God bless you, Bossy Texas Chick. And Bella, that is very true. I made a birthday video for Bossy Texas Chick and Bella. Bella's a cat. You know, now here's the thing. Bossy Texas Chick, I gotta be straight up with you. I wasn't fully forthcoming with you about Bella and her role in the Kitty CIA. That's all. You got to talk to her about it. That's all I'm going to say. I have no further comment beyond that. You know, for the good of America. You know, Bella has a long and decorated record of service to the country of America. And beyond me just telling you, you know, in the interests of, you know, just, you know, camaraderie, I wasn't fully forthcoming about Bella's role in the government, okay? It may be a little more nuanced than you may have initially thought. She's not Peter Pettigrew from Harry Potter, but, you know, not everything is as it seems. That's all I'm going to say, okay? I'm sorry, Bella. I had to do it. I had to. I couldn't. I had to bare my soul. I hope you will forgive me. Hello, T.A. Sarah. How are you doing? Good morning. We had quite a moment today. Yeah, this is definitely going to be on the final. T.A. Sarah gives out the bonus points. Bella can have some bonus points. She has a lot. She's the Charles William Wiley of true crime. If you get that reference, you're a boss. He was actually in the CIA. But no one knew. I don't know what the government is. Anyway, alright, let me get ready to cut my towel report. I'm very proud. I'm very proud. A job well done, I must say. You know, I don't toot my own horn very often, I really don't. But I'm very proud of this one. This took a long time. It wasn't just this stream. I studied those videos for a very long time. And I only got this new video a few days ago. I had no idea it was going to be this big, though. Alright, I'm ready. Thank you to everyone for your support. Oh, by the way, if you want to help my efforts, buy me lunch. We're 3 hours in. Wait a minute. 3 hours? I thought we got here like 5 minutes ago. 3 hours? We've been talking for 3 hours. I didn't know we'd been talking for 3 hours. I thought it was like 5 minutes. But yeah, if you want to support this stream, I forgot to say this, you can send a Venmo at Grant1. God bless all you who helped with the towel staycation this week. There's a Cash App, # Grant Smith Ellis. There's a PayPal, paypal.me/Grant Ellis. # buy towel lunch. And I'll get a lunch today in your honor. It'll be great. Anyway, the links are in the chat. There's also a towel Discord. I'm sure someone will link it in the chat. You can just do ! Discord to get the links. Oh, it's also all in the description as well. You're all wonderful towels. Yeah, we're 3 hours in. I know, right? I did not know we were 3 hours in. Well, no, I wonder what towel girlfriend's got going on. She's wonderful. Oh, she's napping. She's wonderful. Okay, I'm ready. You're going to get to see a report cut live. I gotta run it back a little bit. No, actually, this is exactly the point I want. Because it shows this guy, who's the driver, walking away. Then the mystery man walks away. Then the taillight goes off. Oh, they fucked up so bad. They fucked up so bad. I've never seen anybody fuck up so bad in my entire life. You didn't anticipate towel. Nobody ever anticipates towel. You never see me coming. Colleen. Colleen! I'm not talking about Jolene. She's awesome. Shout out Jolene. Doing good work. Jolene, according to my read of the Twitter headlines the other day, Jolene somehow coordinated an air raid of St. Petersburg because she found out President Putin was a commie, and that's how she wanted to celebrate America's birthday. God bless Jolene. She's going to what? You just gotta roll with it. But anyway, speaking to no one in particular, Colleen, listen to me. Listen. You know, I've been around the block a few times, all right? I've seen a few tricks. You really pushed me to my limit. I've played a few games of chess, Colleen. Nobody in particular. I'm just talking to some general person named Colleen, who has no role related to this in any way whatsoever. Colleen. I mean, listen. I know, okay? It was decent, all right? You play a fine game of chess, all right? I don't know if you hold up under pressure better or worse than John Fanning. I haven't seen you interviewed yet, by an IA, but John Fanning did terrible. So if you're anything like him, you're screwed. But I'm not talking about anyone in particular. But Colleen, you left the tail light switching off as immediately as the mystery man walked away, which allowed me to confirm from the other video that that's the mystery man, because it turns off right after he walks away. What are you doing, Colleen? Come on. It's not a rookie mistake. It's not even a JV mistake. It's not even a varsity mistake. It's a pro mistake. But come on. You're playing in the big leagues here, Colleen. All right? This random person named Colleen who doesn't exist. You're playing in the big leagues, Colleen. Just in case anyone does not understand what I'm saying, there's no one named Colleen that I'm talking to. This is a general, aphorism. Colleen's just a nice name. So anyway, my point is, either be good or be good at it. And I, after months, I knew I'd be able to get him. So thank you. Thank you for leaving that little hint. I'm so proud. I'm so happy. People deserve answers, and you gave it to them. God bless America. What a great birthday present for America. Got him. I'm gonna have a great fucking day. I've been waiting so long to get him. Finally fucking got him. These bastards. They gaslight so fucking hard. Making me all mad. How about them apples? And I got a number too. How about that? Fucking Harvard kids thinking they all fucking smart. You ain't so smart. I don't even think they went to Harvard. I just wanted to troll them. Whatever school you went to. I don't want to name any specific schools because then people would be like, oh, he's insulting me. I'm not trying to do that. Let's just say they didn't go to Harvard, though. They don't got the makings of varsity athletes. I'm having a great day. I can't believe it. I can't believe she was so dumb. She's so dumb. They're really, really corrupt, in my opinion. This general, non-existent person. Oh, thank you. Oh, I've thought about this for so long. This is a great day. A burden has thus been lifted off Towel's shoulders. I can't believe that happened live. I knew I'd get him. I wanted to watch this with you because I wanted to get him. I didn't know we'd get him that bad. I'm still in shock. You don't understand. I think this is actual shock. I am your venerated Towel host, Grant Smith Ellis, and I am actually in shock at myself I don't know what to say. I guess I should cut a report. How about that? Exactly. There's footage of Higgins walking around outside. Where's the footage of Karen's car being driven in, except for this weird camera? We don't know, Mr. Monk's understudy. There's two Mr. Man now. All right. I got to cut my report. Everybody ready? You can be in the report. All right? I'll let you know when I'm ready to cut the report. You got a one take it on the bastards, all right? Sometimes you just got to tell them how it is. Sorry, I burped. I have a disability. Nothing I can do about it. My airway, esophagus, they don't work right. I have the stomach disease, and I'm sewn together. It's just, forget about that, though. Let's focus. I hope you're all having a great Sunday. I was born to do this. I can do this. Let's do it. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. It's 8:20 a.m. on Sunday, July 5th, 2026, Eastern Time. And I have just discovered what I believe to be a shocking discovery in the context of a newly released angle of the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed Sallyport video from circa 5:37 to 5:38 p.m. on January 29th, 2022. Just a few hours after John O'Keefe, the Boston police officer at the center of this unsolved case, was found dead on the lawn of 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts, at a home belonging to Boston police officer Brian Albert, which had been attended the night before by a large number of adults and some teenagers, including undercover ATF agent Brian Higgins. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to show you is a small clip of two pieces of Sallyport footage from when Karen Reed's car, her Lexus, was brought from her parents' home in Dighton around 4 p.m. towards 5 p.m. on that January 29th, 2022 afternoon by the state police. Michael Proctor, in particular, Yuri Buchanan and others were involved. The state police detectives unit that works for Michael Morrissey, the soon-to-be retired Norfolk DA, because of a challenge from Adam Deitch, the former federal prosecutor who would go on to investigate this very series of circumstances. Now, at 5:37 p.m. or so, right before 5:35, Karen Reed's car gets pulled in to the Sallyport. What you're looking at up on the screen right here on Towel News, youtube.com/Grant Smith Ellis, on the left is an interior angle corrected. It's corrected for an original horizontal inversion that was just because of how it was recorded. A correct horizontal inversion to show the interior Sallyport footage of Karen Reed's car, synced up to the best of my ability with the exterior footage of the Canton police driveway. Okay, now what I can show you here for these purposes is the initial moment that Karen Reed's car is going to come in. Now notice on the left here there's three men standing waiting for Karen's car to come in. This is at 5:35:42. On the right, which has timestamps, the left video untimestamped, the right video timestamp, the same three men. Okay, now watch what happens. Karen's car is going to arrive at the same time in both videos. I want you to pay close attention to the headlights. Okay? And then I want you to pay even more close attention to the taillights. Not for the reason you think. Although you can tell both taillights were intact coming in, but that's not the point of this video. In this video, you can see Karen's taillight on the interior angle is still on. This is the left, the driver's side taillight. On the right video, you can see that driver's side taillight is still on. Why is this important? Because watch these two pieces of footage play out simultaneously from the moment that car pulls in. You see the man walk across the back of the car. You see him walk up, I believe that's Michael Proctor, and talk to the tow truck driver who is now opening Karen's door. He's got to document the drop-off. That's the tow truck driver. Proctor, tow truck driver, Proctor, tow truck driver. The tow truck driver, in the footage on the left, You can see him walk up to the front of the car and take a picture of Karen's license plate. Okay, but on the footage on the right, takes him a little bit longer to do that. He does eventually walk up there. Okay, now on the footage on the left, keep an eye on this man. That's the tow truck driver. He's now documenting this. Proctor has walked around the back of the car in both pieces of footage. Proctor's now roughly here. That's the top of his head. He's now behind the wall on the outside footage. Now watch this tow truck driver. He should, in both pieces of footage, walk away from Karen's car. Now watch him on the right. See him walking away? That's the tow truck driver. His foot kind of hangs on the footage on the left. He's then gone. Okay, and then another man who is unidentified and is not the tow truck driver, he's got a completely different outfit and body profile, walks away from Michael Proctor, who is still standing over here in the footage on the left. Now, we should see that in this footage on the right. We should see, though, just like we saw before with the other men. Watch what happens. There's Proctor. He's now walking away in the footage on the left from Karen's taillight, the one that ended up broken. And just 6 minutes to 7 minutes after this footage, according to the state police report, was found down the road at the very place where John O'Keefe was found dead. Now take a look at something else. And this is the smoking gun. Did you notice something that your eye might have missed because of all that was going on? Do you notice as the tow truck driver walks away from Karen's car and then the mystery man walks away, do you see her taillight, the driver's side taillight? Do you see how it's still on? Watch the mystery man walk away from it. Oh, it's off. And then Proctor walks away. Now let's take a look at the footage on the right. Karen's taillight is still on. There's, I think, the tow truck driver. It looks like he actually walked away from the car and then turned around and came back. Note that none of this is captured on the camera on the left. It's 5:37 and 43 seconds. This camera's still running. This man walks up to the car. It's not this guy on the left. Remember, this is, at this point, the footage on the left is ahead because Karen's taillights are off. This footage, the taillights are still on. This man walks towards the rear license plate, walks towards Proctor. It's 5:37:57, 5:38, 5:38:01. He walks away. 5:38, and then the tail light turns off. Now you want to see something even weirder? Proctor then walks away. We know there were 3 men in the initial footage. There's no footage on the left camera of what happened before that taillight turned off. It is captured on the right footage if it's accurate. Watch what happens, though. It does not end there. Where is all of this activity? Look, all of this empty time is not recorded over here, despite the fact that there was just movement. Now, who's this guy? Who is this guy? Where did he come from? He wasn't on this footage at all. This footage just had Proctor walking away, and then the next thing it had up is these guys congregating. Who's this guy near Karen's taillight on the passenger side? Now you might say, okay, well, does something weird happen after that too, before this footage on the right catches up to the footage on the left? Yes. Watch. Notice the time. 5:38, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. Notice it's been counting sequentially. 57, 58. Oh, somebody's walking back over. Wait a minute. We didn't see that, a single figure lumber back over on the internal cam. That should have been caught. And then he lumbers over to this other guy near Karen's taillight. And they're talking at 5:39:01. Now, are you asking me, Grant, don't tell me that a large chunk of like 30 seconds is about to go missing from the footage on the right and was never captured on the camera on the left? Yep. 5:39:03. Pause. Oh, watch what's about to happen. Guess how many seconds we lose while these two men are standing near Karen Reed's passenger tail light, back right. 5:03:37. We lose 34 seconds. And none of that was ever captured on the camera on the left. That's what was hidden from you. Whatever happened between 5:38 and 5:39:37 is what they're trying to hide. It took 90 seconds for them to do what they did. And then, now, we get these guys over here. Look at the 5 figures who are now sweeping. But mind you, they've been sweeping over here for like a minute. This footage was edited to hide what, and this footage was also edited, although more obviously because of the timestamp. And they hid, this is it, folks. So just to bring you back through it. Oh, God bless you, Squirrel. Squirrel says, keep up the great reporting. Towel Man is adorable. Thank you for your support of Towel Channel. You can support this independent news service, by the way. I'll tell you how to do it at the end. Take a look again one more time. Okay, I'm going to run it through you one more time. Run it for you one more time. Karen's taillight is on in the left video until not this man walks away, but until this man walks away. They're two different men. Leg over here, different man. That guy walks away, and then within a second, the taillight turns off, and then Proctor walks away. Okay, now watch this video over here. What does this guy actually do? He walks away. He comes back. Looks like he talks to Proctor. There's 2 guys over here at this point, and 1 guy here, by the way. 2 over here, 1 over here. Does his thing. Walks away. Then the tail lights off. All of what happened with that mystery man is cut. Then, oh look, there's just 1 guy who walks away. But we have to stay and take it through because 2 figures have left. Okay? There is 1 man still here. We're going to watch this in real time. Look at the timer here. No time is missing. There's a guy hanging out over here off camera. He's doing something. He's walking around near the tail light. Now watch what happens as we get from the 5:38:40 mark towards the 5:39 mark. Watch what happens. So we got 3 men, 2 of whom have left the camera, 1 of whom is here, none of which is shown on the interior cam. And then at 5:38 in 58 into 5:39, 1 figure walks back that is not captured on the interior cam. So even if the excuse is the interior cam was motion activated, it should have caught this man. He walks back at 5:39:00 towards whoever is standing by Karen's taillight. They have a conversation which should be on this camera. They're looking directly towards the camera. That man's head goes up to the left towards this camera. Okay? At 5:39:03, the outside camera, which is the only footage, because this interior camera here did not capture this, that footage is gone. It jumps from 5:39:03 to 5:39:37. And then the next thing you got, the guys who were over near that car, they're gone in that 30 seconds. It's on neither camera. And this group of people is now cleaning the inside of the garage on both pieces of footage. Who were those two people? Between 5:39:04 and 5:39:37 behind Karen's car. Who were they? What were they doing in that 30 seconds of missing footage? And why was it not only not captured on the interior Sallyport cam, despite the fact that there was motion? I can prove it to you. I can prove it to you. That man walking up at 5:38:58 p.m. He lumbers over there. He's talking to Proctor, maybe. And then the camera cuts as they're looking over at this camera, and it's never captured on this camera. And then 30 seconds later, 33 seconds later, the camera jumps back in at 5:39:37 to the footage that picks up on the camera on the left. Folks, we have our smoking gun. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. I've been reporting on this case for a long time. I do not know who these two men are. I have some idea, but there is not enough information, and this is incredibly concerning that these videos over time came out through FOIAs, and the Karen Reed defense may not have even realized unless they paid attention to that specific taillight turning off and played these two videos simultaneous with each other and tracked the movement of those men. You're looking at the smoking gun. You're looking at the smoking gun not only because of when the tail light turns off, okay, the driver's side tail light, not only because of when the tail light turns off, which we know occurs on the left footage right after this man walks away. Okay, watch it turn off. There's actually a jump cut before it turns off. But then we don't need to even figure out what was in that jump cut, because watch. Look how much extra footage is in the camera on the outside, which includes movement inside before that taillight turns off. That's what was cut. Whatever is going on right here. There's two men over here, one man here, and that was all cut from the footage on the left. Because look how long this taillight stays on. Still on. Then this guy walks away. Then the taillight turns off. Then a guy walks away. There's still a guy over here, though. And that is not depicted in this footage at all. There's a guy hanging out over here by Karen's taillight for a full minute. That is not in the interior footage at all. It's been cut. I'm showing you, this is the third time. I was told once by my dad, God rest his soul, Frederick Ellis, if you have a good argument, make it 3 times. So I'm making it the 3rd time. Look at it. Hey, look at him. There he is. That was not on this footage at all. Look at this guy. That's 60 seconds of time where he's around that tail light. Look at it. Look at it run. And then immediately, when one of these other two men, who looks like the same guy that lumbered away, comes back at the top of the minute, 5:38:58, 5:38:59, 5:39. Two guys now congregating. Pause at 5:39:03, 8:45 p.m. Okay, it's 5:39, 3 seconds, 845ths of a second. The camera cuts out as these two guys. So now we have 60 seconds of the first guy around the taillight, and then 30 seconds or so of the second guy, and the cut back in is at 5:39:37 or 38 after 34 more seconds have gone by, 94 seconds, and then you see the other officers sweeping around the car and cleaning up. That's it. Whatever happened, and then by the way, there's 14 more seconds missing from 5:39:40 to 5:30. You just watched, in my opinion, two potentially unknown men take Karen Reed's taillight, break it, either take it as a whole or break it into pieces. I don't know how the fuck they did it. And take it over to Fairview. That's what happened, in my opinion. And you watched it. And somebody tried to hide it poorly. And then they couldn't do much. This is why this right video is the smoking gun. It's time stamped. So by editing it at 5:39:03, they couldn't do anything about the showing the like 60 seconds before that. It would have been too obvious. There were too many lights on and all that. So they didn't do the cut until 5:39:04, which was, it gave like probably the best angle of whatever those two people were doing to Karen's car and whatever they did with whatever they had from it. They did two runs. I want folks to understand. They walked away from the car with something at like 5:38 or so, okay? And then they walked away from the car. Somebody came back, and then they walked away again at 5:39, okay? Well, off camera. The camera was manipulated. That's it. That's it. That's how they did it. And remember, it's the passenger tail light, which is on camera, okay? But they're like behind a wall, okay? Somebody like knew exactly what they were doing. They thought about all of these angles, and then all they needed to do was follow it up and cut out certain parts of it and hope no one noticed. This was the cover-up. Jen's dog Jonah says, Grant, does your Venmo picture have an Elmo on the porch? Yes, it does. That's a great way to close this, actually. God bless you, Jen's dog Jonah. That is my friend Elmo. He was a veteran. God bless him. And I wanted to send him that picture of an Elmo statue because his nickname was Elmo. And I didn't get to send it to him before he died. So I set it as my profile picture on that app so that anytime anyone asked me if that was me, I could tell the story about Elmo. He was great. He served his country honorably. He was a good man. He was just a good man. God bless him. Aussie Cheryl says, at 5:38:19, Ken Berkowitz was on a card swipe blog going from booking to the Sallyport. 5:39:19. That was exactly in the missing part of the footage. Ken Berkowitz is dead, ladies and gentlemen. His funeral was attended by a number of players close to this and the Sandra Birchmore case. To this case and the Sandra Birchmore case. Oh my word. I'm not exactly sure what is going to be enough Norfolk tyranny. Great question. But I will tell you that as Grant Smith Ellis for Towel News, youtube.com/@Grant Smith Ellis, you have just seen what I believe to be irrefutable evidence that there are key sections of video that were edited and manipulated and deleted, which relate to a 90-second period of time between 5:38 p.m. on January 29, 2022, and 5:39 and about 37 seconds or 57 seconds, depending, on January 29, 2022, where there were at least two men, maybe one unknown man, maybe Michael Proctor, maybe two unknown men, around Karen Reed's taillight, doing something right around the moment at 5:39:19 when then Canton Chief of Police, although he was on leave, Ken Berkowitz, friends with Brian Higgins, the undercover ATF agent who was at the home where John O'Keefe died the night before, supposedly on the lawn somehow, and where Brian Higgins had been in the afternoon of January 29, 2022, and the early morning, okay? The moment that Chief Berkowitz is swiping into the Sallyport, that is part of that 90 seconds, okay? There's 90 seconds of time where there was a man next to Karen Reed's taillight that is not on the interior Sallyport footage, but is on this footage, 60 seconds. And then there's 30 seconds of time, totaling 90 seconds, where there's two men around the taillight where that's not on either piece of footage. Okay? 90 seconds at least missing from this footage, key 90 seconds. No timestamp, though, to confirm exactly what's cut. And 30 seconds, very key. I'm going to guess that from 5:39:04 to 5:39:37 on this footage is the smoking gun evidence that someone broke that taillight and took it away from that car. Okay? 90 seconds missing from the left footage, the interior. 30 seconds missing from the right footage. That's my opinion. We have our smoking gun. We can't prove it without that 30 seconds. But there's a reason these pieces of footage have been edited. This is very damning. This must be very damning. This interior Sallyport from 5:38 through 5:39:57 p.m. on 1/29/22. That must actually be the most damning footage in the effing world. Sorry to cuss. Okay? Because it's completely gone. That captured the cover-up. This 30 seconds, okay, on the right, from 5:39:03 to 5:39:37 must be an even more intense smoking gun because it had to get removed from blurry footage, okay, from an outside camera through Smith Ellis. We haven't solved this case, but John O'Keefe's family deserve answers, okay, and justice will be done through the proper channels for the people who did this, the people who knew about it, and the people who denied his family and the kids he raised the answers that they deserve. Justice means answers. Our relationship to truth is asymptotic. Okay, you're never going to fully know. You approach like a parabola and never touch the x-axis. But people deserve to know. They don't deserve propaganda, psychological manipulation, torment, and emotional manipulation. They deserve truth, or at the very least a pure pursuit of it. And it's coming for John O'Keefe, for Sandra Birchmore, for Tiffany Overstreet, for Aidan Carney, and for others. God willing, it's coming, because that's what America means. America means being willing to pursue not only justice, but whatever one feels is right, regardless of whether or not someone tells you you can do so. And in the end, God willing, you show the people of the world that this system means being willing to correct itself and do so loudly and proudly, even in the face of egregious evil. And if there's anything these cases have taught the world, may that be our legacy, not only having risen the standard of discourse in this country, but having done it in the pursuit of a voice for the voiceless and in the pursuit of justice denied in the place of very malicious evil. I think we can do it together, ladies and gentlemen. And if that doesn't define the America on its 250th birthday, then I don't know what does. God bless this wonderful country. God bless you all. Thank you for listening to my report. And somebody find that mystery men or mystery men, bring them to justice, and hopefully it comes by way of Adam Deitch becoming Norfolk District Attorney in the September primary, which is coming up very soon. A reckoning is coming, folks. A rising tide exposes all voodoo dolls, lifts all boats. I don't really know the saying. You should probably read Matthew 25:31 through 46. You probably need to decide what side you're going to be on in this cosmic battle and the Hegelian emergence of a new historical age through Vico's recursive dialectic made manifest in a Joycean moment of historical serendipity. Thank you for listening. Please tune in anytime. And Phil was kind enough to say you demand, Grant, and I must say that's very kind to you, Phil. God bless you. Thank you for your support of Towel Channel. Thank you all for listening. That was a very interesting soliloquy. I'm going to end this recording now. You can find more from me, as I mentioned, at youtube.com/Grant Smith Ellis. Hey, that was pretty good. I one-took it. When you one-take it, you just got to one-take it. You know what I'm saying? Get in the booth and one-take it. That was great. Callie, I appreciate your insight, but no, so with the with this video, people who follow developments about this, when I cut a report for it, I have to meet my audience halfway. I can't tell, it would take an hour and a half to tell the full story and then deliver a report about the video. When I do a report, I got to assume the audience is going to know a certain amount about the case. Otherwise, I can't reasonably deliver it. No one's going to watch. People who are very interested might watch an hour and a half of background, but most people don't need to know every single piece of background about every character or like player, quote unquote, in this strange, tragic historical drama. They know the name, they know who they are. I just need to deliver it to them in a way that they can understand symbiotically and then take what they know and move it a little bit further. They already have the background. But yeah, that's why I do both the stream and then a report. What you just saw was actually a recorded one-take report that I will then write up and post on social media for the people who couldn't watch live. It's an interesting thing to watch. I think it's a little bit recursive. You get the same thing a few times, but that's the point. It's supposed to imprint the information onto your brain through reinforced like recitation. It's a style of didactic teaching, I suppose. All right, I want to go for a walk. We got to do Tippecanoe and Tyler too, though. Thank you all for your support. God bless the people I saw. Someone had sent a very kind Venmo. I just want to click hard on it before I go. This is Pete Bunny Towel, by the way. He's a channel mascot. Oh, God bless you. Someone sent a lunch donation. You are so kind. Hashtag towel lunch. You're wonderful. If I just sent you a heart, I got your towel Venmo, and I clicked heart. I'll go through them all as I'm going for my walk. I'll click the hearts on all the donations, and thank you all for your super chats and for being so kind. Now, my voice, I don't know if you know, I have to limit its use. I streamed the war for 90 days in a row, and it took its toll. So I'm limiting myself to like 3 to 4 hours a day of streaming when I do lives. I just can't. It's too much. So, and I'm disabled as it is, so we gotta limit it. But God bless you all. I want to do Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Shout out Triple Bob. If you've never been here before, we like to test Towel's mental acuity at the end of stream. I have a question actually from Jess saying, Grant, any thoughts on why Canton SB members Harrington and Boyden are supporting Perkins over Deitch for NCDA? You want my direct opinion in the form of petitioning my government for redress of my grievances? She's a plant. That's why I call her DeHunta. I'm sure she was like, why does he call me DeHunta? Because I think you're a plant. And I think Greg Connors is a plant, clearly. The only two candidates are Deitch and Connors. Everyone else is a plant. Now, people got to be careful, because you can tell who is, sold out by who they support in that race. If they're pushing someone that's not Deitch, Deitch also talks in a certain way, so you got to just understand how it's all playing out. You can criticize Deitch without promoting his opponent. But the point is, although some people are criticizing Deitch because they're afraid he's going to win because he will expose what they were covering up through Morrissey. That's why they want Connors to win. But I don't think he will. He's got the unions, but I don't even think the union rank and file are going to whip on Connors. Frankly, I think a lot of the union guys, I can't speak for them, but I think they're fed up with the corruption. They don't give a shit what the leadership votes for or endorses. They might, go along to get along in the meeting, bro. But when they go to vote, you think they're checking Adam Deitch or Greg Connors? I'm thinking they're not selecting Greg Connors. They might say they're going to, but to keep the union off their back, but they're voting Deitch. Anyway, so I think it's just very interesting, the number of candidates that just appeared. Deitch, they tried to dilute Deitch's support through, the only thing they didn't do is put another candidate in the race named Adam Deitch. Okay, that's the last thing they could. That's bottom of the barrel tactics. JFK pulled it off in the race for the old 11th. You can't pull it off these days. The guy in Alaska just got in serious trouble for trying to do that. But yeah, I think they just tried to flood the field, but it didn't work. Who the hell? Nobody even knows the other candidate's name. You ask most people in Massachusetts about the Norfolk DA race. First of all, if they know about it, if they're outside Norfolk County or inside, they're going to say Adam Deitch. Who's running? Adam Deitch. Who are you voting for? Adam Deitch. Who are the other candidates? I don't know. Oh. All right. That's kind of how it is. So they thought, and, it might have worked 20 years ago. It's such a Michael Morrissey thing to do, old school, democratic, good old boys politics. Yeah, bro, let's just put 4 people in there. If Greg can't do it, let's just dilute Deitch's vote. Let's just try to, knock him out by vote dilution. Yeah, right. Bro, look at the modern politics. Come on now. We had you beat before you out of the gate. I'm not on his team or anything. You were up against a movement. Dude, his name recognition is stronger than some statewide candidates. Check the polls. You don't believe me? Please, the man could run for senator if he wants to, but he's got to go into the DA's office first. He's got to put a little bit of work in there. They need him. I would bet the U.S. attorney needs him in there. That's the only way you can you know what they're waiting for? Him to get in there. You know what you're really voting on? Come on. Leah Foley's delivered it to you on a silver platter. You're the polity. Make good decisions. Do you know how extraordinary it is for the DOJ to send a candidate? They're not going to send him there, but with an approval down to run for DA? Oh, dude. That DA position? Come on. They're saying, hey, you people in Norfolk County, this is what I think the feds are saying. You talk a big game about systemic reform. Okay? Prove it. And if you know anything about the law, you know that once you get that DA's office, the world is your oyster. Why do you think they're fighting so hard to protect it? Watch what happens when Deitch gets in there with his powers and then his connections at the U.S. Attorney's Office, which they can work together legally with. Oh, it's game over. Changing of the guard. Watch, he wins that primary, everyone will resign. We did it? We're so close. Dude, he's a force to be reckoned with. 60 days away, or less, maybe like 64, more or less. What a great day to be an American. I love America. Great question, though. But yes, the point is, change is coming. Okay? You got to vote. Okay? You have to participate in the democracy through your voice and through cogent discourse. You've done that. Okay? You're doing a great job. Deitch is on the ballot. But you got to vote. It's a multi-part process. You got to vote. You have to vote. They're waiting. Do you understand why they're waiting? If all of you really, not outside of Norfolk County, but if so many of you within Norfolk County want this change and you want arrests and all that, you got to vote. This is the one time in your life you're going to be able to vote on whether people get criminally prosecuted. You must vote. If you come out in numbers in September and Deitch wins that primary, give it 6 months at most. And there will be federal indictments and state indictments unlike anything you've ever seen. You must vote, though. This is not a passive process. You don't do it on a whim and a prayer. You must vote. It is not an option. You must vote. I'm not telling you who you have to vote for. I have a person I think you should vote for. But you must vote. You cannot, it's not something not this election. This is perhaps, at least in terms of this state, one of the most consequential elections of all time. There is not a single election in the state of Massachusetts for statewide office or local office or otherwise that has as much consequence as that September 2026 primary for Norfolk County District Attorney. And you must vote. It's your duty. You cannot abdicate your civic duty after all these years. Do you know how rare it is? Do you know how many forces had to come together to deliver this opportunity unto the people? You must take advantage of it, and Adam Deutsch must live up to that mandate. He cannot back down in the face of systemic pressure. When we stand against the flow of opinion on hotly contested issues, a man does what he must in spite of the personal consequences and dangers and pressures, for that is the basis of all human morality. And if you can't do it when the chips are down, then you can't do it at all. And he must meet the moment. There will be political pressure. He will need to package it to protect the republic, but he must take action, and he must meet the moment, and he must stare down evil and banish it. I believe he can do it. Never met the man. I saw him one time in a federal courtroom for the Monica Cannon Grant sentencing. Didn't talk to him, though. Little law girls talked to him. She got stones. She just walked right up to him. I saw her do it. She did it while he was talking to, like, all the powers that be at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I was like, oh, she's got stones. Even the boss lady was there. You don't want to mess with the boss lady. See, not U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. She's the boss lady. There's a boss lady, though, at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston. She's the executive officer. She's the boss lady. I don't mess with the boss lady. She's in charge. All I know is she's the real powers that be. I don't really know why. It scares me to even talk about her. She's the boss lady. Mr. Monk's understudy, I don't see that happening in Massachusetts. We don't have that kind of system here. It's more raw numbers. All ballots are counted very locally here. Very locally. Literally, you scan your ballot in, like, by hand. Like, you fill it out in Massachusetts in a like secret like sort of cubby, and then you take it over to the machine, and then when you put it in, the machine shows you the number of ballots counted at that polling place that day, not who people voted for, whatever. When you put your ballot in, it shows you the number it goes up to. You can manually, if you so choose, track every single ballot. You can't see how people vote, but you can manually track it. It's a very, very interesting system, and it's so localized here. Every single election is like when they count, each district, each precinct in each little town here counts like in the library. So like you might have like, I don't know, 4,000 people voting at a library over the day on election day. They in the library with state officials and election observers and all that, they will just count it at the end of the day. Polls close, the Secretary of State closes the polls, whatever, it's a certain time. Sometimes it gets extended if people are in line, emergencies, whatever. But the point is, you tally them like right there. Everybody has to cross-reference it, like with the tallies. Everything has to check and balance, like in the open, not who voted for who. They're all anonymized, but it has to be right. And then you can report your tally to the Secretary of State, who then amalgamates like it's not 354, it's like thousands of precincts, depending on if it's a statewide election, local election, and then they check and balance those against the local reporting numbers, all of which are public, and everything has to line up. They never mess up. They're perfect here. So now, I'm not saying it doesn't open like the potential for fraud, but I've heard of other states where they like take all their ballots for like a big city and bring it into like one big warehouse, okay? And you have thousands of people counting. No. Here, every single precinct, you might have like 3 librarians, a cop, an election observer, and then like the state official. And they're all together at like a small wooden table in the basement of the Jewish temple, like counting the ballots. And they're very precise. But anyway, not every state does it this way. Massachusetts just happens to have, because of its tradition of town meeting and precincts, like we are very, very hyper local. And people really, really pay attention to that stuff. And plus, we're very liberal. So, like, elections are like fait accompli, basically. This is a unique one because it's a primary, but there won't be that many people. Let me just put it this way. As an election analyst, I will tell you this. The more people that vote, the more likely it is Adam Deitch wins, okay? So if you see this massive freaking turnout once in a century, he's winning like 80-90% of the vote. But every precinct, as the reports come in, people will be counting. How many votes did Deitch get in like Canton Precinct 1? Like 7, 12, 47, 150, however many people are there. How many did he get as the night's rolling too? And then that's how the AP makes projections. You need to look at the outstanding vote and the vote that's come in. We're going to do this on election night. It's going to be a roller coaster. Get ready for a fun one. And then you make a call. I'm going to make a call like probably earlier than the AP because attorney races. But yeah, you like monitor each precinct in real time, and they come in slowly because they have to manually count, and boom, you got your prediction. Yeah. So George, the way it works is, you can in Massachusetts, you have to find like a library. Only certain places can be polling precincts. It can be a church. It's not like in the like center. It's like in the basement. It can be a church. It can be a temple. It could probably be a mosque. It's just got to be in the basement of the facility. It can't be in like the place where they worship. Or it can be a library, senior center, anything that's like where you can have a common space. And then they have rules in Massachusetts about what can be in the voting place. So the voting place is barren of anything. No symbols. The only thing that can be up on the wall is the rules for voting. So they have like 6 pieces of paper on the wall, and it tells you like, here's how to fill out your ballot. Here's the like mandatory notices we have to post. There are no signs anywhere in any polling place. There's no electioneering. There's no religious iconography. There's no like nothing. It's just a completely barren room that you walk into, and it's monitored. But you have like a privacy cubby that you go to, and you fill out your ballot. There's nothing in. Oh, you know what they do that I like? The one thing they have is when you leave, they'll give you an I voted sticker. That's the only like signage or anything that's ever up. So yeah, I like it. I think it's a good system, but not every state does it like Massachusetts. We have very strict what's called electioneering rules. And if you want to go hold signs outside the polling place, they have like a piece of like tape that the police put on the sidewalk, and it's fine to stand there, but you can't go over that red tape. You can get in a lot of trouble. That's how serious our electioneering rules are. Good morning, Holly Straight. You came in right at the end. You want to rewatch this one, though. This was fascinating, quite alive. You'll learn a lot about the Mystery Man, the edited Sally Port video, indeed. Mr. Monk asked about mail-in ballots. I think we have them for disabled people, hardship. They do exist. People who might have a tough time walking to the polling place. You got to register for it, though. And we're very strict here in primaries. You can't just vote in a primary. You can't like be a Republican and vote in a Democratic primary. Up to 10 days before the election, you need to be unenrolled or a member of the party whose primary you want to vote in, and they enforce that. You go to the ballot place and present like your documentation to vote, and you come up on that system as either like you are registered for the wrong party or like you didn't mail your registration form. We do have same day voter registration, so if you are like flagged as not registered because you didn't mail the card back or something, they'll take you over to the table and register you, and then you go again. But if you're not like a Democrat, you can't, or unenrolled, you can't be voting, and they'll stop you. It's pretty monitored. I think our elections are good. Some of the cities, like Boston, doesn't always do a good job, but if they don't do a good job, their election department gets taken over by the Secretary of State, like through an emergency order. He comes in personally. He has a very big, what's called the election integrity unit, and they come right in, and they will put your election department in receivership, and then they will count the ballots. They won't let you do it if they see anything they don't like. I think they did it to Boston once. Josie Lou, thank you so much for your kind words. Yeah, Boston got in a lot of trouble one year. Most cities and towns, though, are great here. I've never seen when you try to do things like that. Oh, that's what I was saying. It's not so much the election integrity. It's just the numbers. You face raw numbers when you try to go up against the one-party machine. Yeah, Mr. Bunk's understudy. I heard of that. We don't have that same system at all. We have a much more hyper local system because of the size of our state and the way our communities are broken up. All right. I'm tired. My voice is tired. I want to go for a walk. I want to listen to some music. I want to call Towel Girlfriend, who I love dearly and I think is very wonderful. Let me do Tippecanoe and Tyler too. My voice already hurts. I like to do the American presidents at the end of stream to test my mental acuity. We call it Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Of course, Mr. Monk, send the study anytime. Hi, Standing Stones. How are you? You're wonderful. Hi, Joy. You are so wonderful, Joy. You actually just reminded me of something. You're wonderful. Nobody cares. Thank you so much. Yes, consider liking or subscribing to Towel Stream. I'll tell you more in just a second, but I got to do Tippecanoe and Tyler too first, all right? So, you got President Washington, then you got President Adams, then President Jefferson, then President Madison, then President Monroe, then President Adams Jr., then President Jackson, then President Van Buren, and then 9 and 10, it's like William Henry Harrison, and then it's Polk, and then it's Taylor, and then 13 is Millard Fillmore, and then you get 14, which is Pierce, 15, which is Buchanan, 16 is Lincoln, 17 is Johnson, 18 is Grant, 19 is Rutherford B. Hayes, 20 is Garfield, 22 is Chester A. Arthur, 23 is Cleveland, 24 is Harrison, 25 is Cleveland again, 26 is McKinley, 27 is Teddy Roosevelt, 28 is William Howard Taft, 29 is Woodrow Wilson, 30 is Harding, 31 is Coolidge, 32 is Hoover, 33 is FDR, 34 is Truman, 35 is Eisenhower, 36 is Kennedy, 37 is Johnson, that would be the one from Texas, 38 is Nixon, 39 is Ford, 40 is Carter, 41. Did I get out? I wonder if I got out of order. 41 is Reagan. 42 is Bush. 43 is Clinton. No, I got out of order because then you get Bush 2, which is not 44. And then you get Obama, then Trump, then Biden, then Trump. So I got one off in the list there, and we're going to have to do that again. I don't know how I got thrown off. Who did I miss there? We're doing it again. President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren, then 9's like William Henry Harrison, then 10's like Taylor, and then 11, maybe it's like 10 and 11 are them. Then 13 is Millard Fillmore, and then the 14, I'm pretty sure it's Pierce, and then 15 is Buchanan, 16 is Lincoln, 17 is Johnson, and then 18 would be Grant, and then 19 would be Rutherford B. Hayes, and then 20, I'm pretty sure, is Garfield, which would make 21 Chester A. Arthur, which would make 22 Cleveland, 24 Harrison, 25 Cleveland again, 26 McKinley, 27 Teddy Roosevelt, 28 William Howard Taft, 29 Woodrow Wilson, 30 Harding, 31 Coolidge, 32 Hoover, 33 FDR, 30 Eisenhower, 36 Kennedy, 37 Nixon, 38 Johnson, 39 Ford, 40 Carter, 41 Reagan, 42 Bush the First, 43 Clinton, 44 Bush the Second, 45 Obama, 46 Biden, 47 46 Trump, 47. Nope, that's wrong. Who am I missing? This is going to infuriate me. Oh, goodness. You know what? There's only one way to figure this out. I've never done this before, but this is going to infuriate me. Unless I can figure out where I am going wrong here, I'm going to get really mad. All right, give me the list. Where am I going wrong? Fillmore's 13, Pierce is 14, Buchanan's 15, that's all fine. 16 is Lincoln, 17 is Johnson, 18 is Grant, 19 is Rutherford B. Hayes, 20 is Garfield, 21 is Arthur, 22 is Cleveland, 23 is Harrison, 24 is Cleveland, 25 McKinley, 26 Roosevelt, 27 William Howard Taft, 28 Woodrow Wilson, 29 Harding, 30 Coolidge, 31 Hoover, 32 FDR, 33 Truman, 34 Eisenhower, 35 Kennedy, 36 Johnson, 37 Nixon, 38 Ford, 39 Carter, 40 Reagan, 41 Bush, 42 Clinton, 43 Bush again, 44 Bush Jr., 44 Obama, 45 Trump, 46 Biden, 47 Trump. Oh, I think I missed Woodrow Wilson. Got it. Listen, I don't like... Oh, Cherim, thank you so much for your kind super chat. That was very kind to you. That was very nice. But yeah, I got them in order. I'm pretty sure I missed Woodrow Wilson there. I think I went from William Howard Taft to then Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover. So let's try it one more time. I know it's going to frustrate you, but I'm compulsive and I want to go for a walk. President Washington, President Jefferson, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren, 9, 10, 11, it's like William Henry Harrison and Taylor. There's one other one in there. And then 13 is Van Buren. 14 is Pierce. 15 is Buchanan. 16 is Lincoln. 17 is Johnson. 18 is Grant. 19 is Rutherford B. Hayes. 20 is Garfield. 21 is Arthur. 22 is Cleveland. 23 is Harrison. 25 is Cleveland. 26 is McKinley. 27 is Teddy Roosevelt. 27 is William Howard Taft. 29 is Woodrow Wilson. 30 is Harding. 31 is Coolidge. 32 is Hoover. 33 is FDR. 34 is Truman. 35 is Eisenhower. 36 is Kennedy. 37 is Johnson. 38 is Nixon. 39. Did I screw this up again? It's Ford. 40 is Carter. 41 is Reagan. I think I screwed it up again. How do I keep getting this wrong? I'm infuriating myself. Yeah, I got it wrong again. Who am I messing up here? I'm infuriating myself. I don't like getting this wrong. 14 is Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, 22, 23, 24, 25. So by Teddy Roosevelt, I need to be at 26. I think I'm messing up the order at Cleveland, Harrison, and Cleveland, and just counting wrong. And no, I absolutely will not stop until I get it right. That's how, like, I went from listing them in order to doing the number, and I'm intent, especially on the 4th of July, I must be right. All right. President Washington. President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren. 9, 10, 11, 12. A little tough. Or it's like Henry Harrison Taylor. 13 is Millard Fillmore. All right. 14 is Pierce. 15 is Buchanan. 16 is Lincoln. Okay. 17 is Johnson. 18 is Rutherford B. Hayes. 19 is Garfield. 20 is Chester A. Arthur. 21 is Cleveland. 22 is Harrison. 23 is Cleveland. 24 is McKinley. 25, but don't tell me I fucked it up again. I fucked it up again. That's it. We're starting this again. 14 is Franklin Pierce. 15 is James Buchanan. 16 is Lincoln. 17 is Johnson. 18, 19 is Rutherford B. Hayes. 20 is Garfield. 21 is Chester A. Arthur. 22 is Cleveland. 23 is Harrison. 24 is Cleveland. 25 is McKinley. 26 is Teddy Roosevelt. 27 is William Howard Taft. 28 is Woodrow Wilson. 29 is Harding. 30 is Coolidge. 31 is Hoover. 32 is FDR. 33 is Truman. 34 is Eisenhower. 35 is Kennedy. 36 is Johnson. 37 is Nixon. 38 is Ford. 39 is Carter. 40 is Reagan. 41 is Bush 2. 42 is Clinton. 43 is Bush Jr., 44 Obama, 45 Trump, 46 Biden, 47 Trump. Finally! Oh my goodness, I was gonna drive myself insane. Did I miss my namesake, Grant? Each one of those runs through. You know what? It took me a very long time, but I finally did it. I can't believe I missed my own namesake, apparently. I did it. I did it. It took me till the very end. God bless America. I was listen, any other day, I would have said, you know what? I had them in order the first time. I didn't get the numbers. But on our 250th birthday, I had to get it right. I can do 14 through 47 by the number, and I would not stop until I got it. Now, I also was on vacation this weekend, so. And adding the numbers is a lot harder than just listing them in order. It really is. But I'm going to keep practicing. God bless you all. I know you were cheering me on there, and we got through it. Hello, Towel Bomb Bunny. Yeah, you're going to watch. That was a fun. You're going to want to rewatch. That was a fun day. Hi, Kofi. Hi, Bo. I'm a towel. Towel Bomb Bunny's wonderful. Kofi's a dog. He's got an emoji. Yep, I got there. I might have missed. I heard that I was actually named after President Grant. All my siblings were going to be named after presidents. So Grant, and then Taylor, and then the tradition just stopped. Oh, thank you for that, Sunshine Lexi. That was wonderful. God bless you for that. All right, so this has been Towel News. George says you're a good, interesting guy, Grant. Well, God bless you, George. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday. I'm going to go for a little bit of a walk. The purpose of this public information service, Towel News, is to educate, inform, and entertain you. 20% entertainment, 40% information, 40% education, such as to engender cogent public discourse and ward off the usurpation of our forms of government worldwide. If you like what you saw today, you may consider supporting my efforts. Buy a towel lunch, etc. You can subscribe. You can tell your friends about Towel News, your family, etc. You can support. The people will drop the donation links. They're in this description in the chat. You can buy me a lunch, a coffee. There's a Venmo at Grant-E1. My picture's an Elmo. There's a Cash App, # Grant Smith Ellis. And there's a PayPal, paypal.me/Grant Ellis. Towel voice is tired, so I'm going to speak soft now. However, I'll check all those at the end as I'm on my walk, and I'll click the hearts, and you're wonderful, and God bless all of you. But if you learned something today on this of all weekends, Bossy Texas Chick says bye to Peep. This is Peep Bunny. He's the towel mascot. He says hello to his friends, and also to his friend Francine. He loves her very much. Standing Stones at Pick a Handle and Patty LaBelle. If you learned something today, if you want to pay it forward, do consider on this weekend of all weekends a donation to our homeless vets or service members of their families. There should not be a single veteran or service member homeless against their will in the United States of America, or we have failed. On the 250th anniversary, more so than any other day of this country's founding, although it took a little bit of time to be founded, may you please consider that donation. You don't have to, but just please. If you're going to do something today to support our country, one thing that would really help is if you found a charity that assists our homeless vets. First of all, there shouldn't be any homeless vets, or we truly have failed. But if there are, we can help them. They helped us create this country that means so much to so many of us, and I pray that you will consider such a donation today. But it doesn't have to be a donation to our homeless vets, because you may like animals. And I understand. I am never going to tell someone that you can't support animals. But if you are going to make such a donation, maybe you would consider donating to an animal shelter run by our veterans or service members, or that helps our veterans or service members. Great way to help animals. Great way to help our veterans and service members. I do hope you'll consider it today. Now, if you can't find such a charity, you may consider a donation to an animal shelter in general. Everybody loves our furry friends, and I think it's a great way to give back. If you're in the UK, do consider a donation to The Big Issue. That's a great way to help homeless populations in the UK. But it doesn't have to be a donation. It could be something as simple as smiling at someone on the street, reaching out to a friend or family member you haven't heard from in a while, or yes, ladies and gentlemen, even giving away 200 tomato plants like Francis Futrell did one time, and having them designated honorary towels during the outro forevermore. In that way, may we pray the current realpolitik continues to change from one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our power, to one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our capacity to engage in small acts of service and kindness rooted in unconditional love. Therein allowing us to live up to our Tau Eudaimonia or Summum Bonum, our greatest good in the ancient Greek or Latin respectively, and thereabout bringing in a new digital epoch defined by Aquarius the water bearer standing tall and carrying a towel. I believe it's possible because of you all. God bless you all, and God bless you, Nobody Cares. That was such a kind super chat. You are so wonderful. I want to say thank you all for watching. Thank you for being you. Thank you for supporting Towel Channel and Towel News. And as this is the end of our broadcast day, I have a very special song I would like to play in honor of my home, the United States of America. This is America the Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. This is also the end, barring some kind of emergency, of your broadcast day on Towel News. It's 9:24 a.m. Eastern Time here in Boston on Sunday, July 5th, 2026. It's 3:24 p.m. in South Africa. It's 4:24 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel. And it's 5:54 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, or evening, whatever the case may be. Until we see each other again, I leave you with America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. His grace uncrown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes prove in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, they got the gold refined, till our success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Beautiful America, yeah, beautiful America, yeah. Ooh, from sea to shining sea, shining sea. Beautiful America, yeah. Beautiful America, yeah. From sea to shining, shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriotry that sees beyond the east. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining
God bless you all. Have a wonderful Sunday. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being with me.